Welcome to the Built Different podcast. Let's get it. Welcome everybody to the Built Different podcast. I am your host, Thomas Saxby. I'm here with my co-host because this is episode 3 of Off the Backboard. I'm here with Ricky Tan, VMan, hit him over the head with a pan. I'm going to get that trademarked one day. And then Matt Serrano, Slat, Mac, whatever you want to call him, he'll listen. He'll look. No. But welcome everybody in. This is episode 3. We're going to take a deep dive into the playoffs today. We're going to have some fun. But first things first, V-Man, what is up? Why don't you lead us off? What's up?
Cleveland, this is for you. I'm pretty sure this should be at the top of everybody's list. Donovan Mitchell going to the Cavs. It struck me as odd at first because, nobody really heard of it until it happened. Because from what they said, the deal was constructed in the last 48 hours of it happening. I guess something broke down with the Knicks or they weren't liking what the Knicks were talking about. But I guess they started talking to the Cavs, and within 48 hours, now Donovan Mitchell is a Cav. So, but as in terms of the deal itself, the Jazz definitely won the trade. They definitely won the trade.
Hot take.
But the Cavs are not in a bad spot.
At all.
Because Donovan Mitchell is definitely still young. He definitely has... Donovan Mitchell kind of has the problems you not want your young stars to have, but you would want your young stars to have. It's more so of a growth development thing for him. Mm-hmm. Like, as long as he keeps, growing and getting better, he's going to be fun.
Well, real quick, low-key, he got onto the team drafted and became their number one off the bat. He really didn't, have a chance to grow as a young guy. He just was basically thrown into the fire and was made a number one. So, this is the opportunity to show that little bit of growth, be a team guy, more or less, because that team around him is solid.
Yeah, I think that this situation is actually going to be good for him because, like you said, when he came in, he was already made the face of the franchise.
Yeah.
And it was but there was a lot of guys around him that were they're older than him. Now he's getting that, not really the chance again, but the chance again to be the leader of a franchise. But the guys around him are younger than him. They're actually... The Jazz really didn't depend on him to lead them. They depended on him to just be him.
Yeah.
The Cavs are kind of going to depend on him to lead them. Because they're younger than him. He knows more about this than they do. Obviously, I'm not expecting anything crazy within the first year or even 2 years, but 3 years down the line, it could be something if everybody keeps developing the way that they're supposed to. I really like the pairing with him and Jared Allen. I feel like they're going to be great. The backcourt of him and Darius Garland is great because on the nights that Garland is struggling, he could pick it up. On the nights that he's struggling, Garland could pick it up. Sorry, I just do a fucking blank. But Garland could pick it up. They still got Karis LeVert.
Isaac Okoro, Kevin Love.
Isaac Okoro is good.
They got
Kevin
guys.
Love coming off the bench.
Ricky Rubio off the bench for
the team is crazy.
Yeah.
Evan Mobley. Wow, I'm don't know how I just didn't mention Evan Mobley before the rest of those guys, but Evan Mobley, runner-up for Rookie of the Year last year. So the team has talent. Definitely has talent. They lost the trade, but they definitely did gain some value back. They didn't get fleeced all the way like any other Danny Ainge victim, but...
I mean, to me, I think it was more closer to an even trade than anyone winning or losing. It's definitely better than the Gobert trade, in my opinion, for the receiving team of the players. So Cavs got away with it much better than the fucking Timberwolves did. Sold the bag.
In terms of what the Jazz got back, the only reason why I said that you could say that the Jazz won the trade is because of obviously how many draft picks they got back. You never know what those picks could turn into.
Exactly,
you have no idea what those picks could turn into.
But the thing for...
So,
you're good.
We can't really say that the Cavs won the trade until we see what those draft picks become. once those draft picks bust or they hit, then we can really discuss like who really won the trade after that. But
to me,
up until
low-key,
at just face value, Colin Sexton and Donovan Mitchell aren't too like they're almost the same player, but obviously Donovan Mitchell is better. But Colin Sexton can do damn near everything Donovan Mitchell can do, so the Jazz can literally stick him in Donovan Mitchell's spot.
Yeah.
And just say, here's great value, Donovan Mitchell, and we'll just run with it and see what happens. But a question that I have, because Tom, you have been awfully quiet, is now
I've been holding my tongue over here.
I've seen
you guys are tweaking with some of your opinions already.
Me personally, I'm not even a Knicks fan, and I didn't like the trade for you guys. I'm pretty sure you know the details of that trade now. How would you have felt if they would have went through with that deal, and that deal is the one that got done instead of this one?
I mean, like, well, let's be real. First off, I'm really glad we didn't get done. I'm not a hater of Donovan Mitchell by any means. I just don't think this guy is effective, like, at all. Like, I mean, at all. Yet. I think, obviously, as time goes along, he will. But, Matt, don't even look at me like that. Just go look at the last year's playoffs. Go look at the playoffs before that, and go look at the playoffs before that. The only time he really truly went off was in the bubble. So, I mean, he's very streaky of a player. When he's hot, obviously, anyone in the world would put Donovan Mitchell on their team when he's hot. But the issue is that when he's cold, it lasts for like 12, 15, 20 games at a time. And it sucks. And when you pair that with Rudy Gobert, you know, things are going to happen the way that they happen. So as it pertains to the Knicks, I mean, yeah, I would have laughed. I was just like, okay. Because at the end of the day, it'd still be getting Donovan Mitchell, but it would have been weird because we'd be putting him next to. I don't know what goes through the minds of the New York Knicks front office when they I don't think they think of the outcome, because when you think of the outcome and you think of Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, and Julius Randle being your top three, it's just crazy because where's the facilitating in any of that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we kept it. I mean, as it pertains to the trade, though, I think the Cavs win the trade. I don't want to say they fleeced the Jazz, because obviously it's not a fleece when you're getting 4 or 5 first-rounders and pick swaps and all that. The reason why I say that they win is because, you know, when you think about Donovan Mitchell, the one thing that he's been missing so far up to this point, because Mike Conley is booty juice, is, you know, a good point guard next to him. Someone that can just take the ball when it needs to be taken. If he's streaky, okay, you got Darius Garland now that can pick that up easily. So I think that's going to be a very deadly combo. And then it's not like he's losing Rudy Gobert, because Jared Allen, I mean,
he's a mobile. He's a mobile. Rudy
Gobert. He's come by and really developed an offensive game that I think, honestly, we could see Jared Allen maybe score 20 points a game this year just because of the pressure that's going to be off of him with Donovan Mitchell on the floor. And how much they're going to be focused on those guards. He's going to have some very easy looks in the paint. And he's a really great defender. So, honestly, if I'm Donovan Mitchell, I love this situation. Now, the only reason I would say that they would lose the trade is if they fall apart within the next 5 years, which I don't see happening. Because you got guys that are going to be good for, obviously, the next 5 years plus. So if they keep this together, which we know the Cavs most likely can keep this together with all the revenue that LeBron brought them, I think they'll be all right. Because if they can keep this core, they're going to be a threat in the East for the next 5 years.
I feel like
those draft picks are going to not amount to anything.
I feel like now the Cavs are kind of competing for like the best starting 5 in the league.
Like, as far as a whole unit,
like, they're not
it's
overwhelming
crazy
at any position, but they're very good at every position.
But yeah, it's a solid.
I don't know, man. This combination, like, I know I just shitted on Donovan Mitchell a whole bunch, but the combination of him and Garland,
like, Darius Garland is above an average point guard. Donovan Mitchell is an above an average shooting guard. Karis LeVert is right on the verge of being over the average small forward. Evan Mobley is pretty much over being the average power forward.
Oh my God! And
Jared
Evan
Allen is the borderline all-star.
He was an all-star last year.
Yeah, he was an all-star last year.
But still.
Yeah.
So, and that's another thing is that, like, I think this is going to work greatly because of how fast Mitchell and Yeah, Mitchell and Garland.
Especially if Kevin Love,
Third.
especially if Kevin Love could keep doing what he's doing off the bench.
Yeah, just being a leader.
Yeah.
Being a
And then
leader
Mobley
also.
and Jared Allen aren't slow by any means.
Right.
They are
They're
athletic,
mobile.
so this is going to be
I
crazy.
think the only
they might fly all over the court.
I think the only way it's a L for the Cavs, not even if they fall apart or anything, if Donovan Mitchell leaves when it's his free agency time, because then it's just like, all right, you got a few good years out of him, but then like you just threw away future picks that you're not even going to have Mitchell for during those years. But other than that, I think,
and that's very true.
I think if this team stays together, there's no L on either side. It's a good. The only way it's an L for the Jazz as well is if they don't hit on picks. They just fuck up on all the picks that they've recently gotten.
For the Cavs right now, you're just trying to get solid pieces for your bench.
I mean,
if I'm them, I have the starting
already.
five that I want.
Yeah.
The starting five is good enough to compete with any other starting five out there.
100%.
Now you just need the guys off the bench because you don't really win championships without the guys.
You don't gotta 100% unless you take Karis LeVert, put him on the bench, and Isaac Okoro in the starting lineup for defensive purposes.
No, he's definitely on the bench.
Who?
You can't start.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking. I think Okoro in the starting lineup for defensive purposes and LeVert off the bench for pure scoring. Then you already got your scorer.
Because Okoro,
you got your point guard and Rubio off the bench, and you got your big man and Love. You just need one or two more solid bench pieces, and you'll be solid.
Well, like you said, like you kind of said yourself, Matt. I mean, Okoro being there for defensive purposes is great because you can keep the offense flowing through the other four, while he's there again playing defense, spreading the floor, whatever. But their bench, I mean, they got Nato, they got LeVert, they got Kevin Love, Seti Osman, Dean Wade. Don't forget about Dean Wade.
A shooter.
Come on.
I mean.
I think like one more bench piece maybe, but I honestly I think this is a solid team.
Yeah, I could see them easily floating between like a 5 and 3 seed next year.
I can see them being
and the coach
the
is JB Bickerstaff
next year.
Yeah, 100%.
Like they have the potential to upset anybody.
So Matt, what's on the top of your mind? Because I was gonna talk about the Knicks, but they suck.
So pretty much the Gobert trade, I mean, it's happened a little bit ago. And, I mean, I was already, like, hinting on it right now, or a few minutes ago when I was talking about it. I think, like, the Wolves, low-key, like, they took a L in this, like, even more than we thought, just because they got, like, 3 years of Gobert, and that's it. So they got a title champion in 3 years.
They got fleet.
They got 3 years to be a title contender, because he's got 4 years left on his contract. And I'm going to be real, I doubt he's going to be good all 4 of those years, because he's already over 30. So it's just like,
is he really?
He's third. He's about to be 31 soon. But it's just like
my whole thing.
Oh no, he just turned 30.
My whole thing with that is like
2 months ago.
You took the L alone by giving them what? They gave him 7 first-round picks.
That, yeah.
That's an L alone, but then you also realize that they gave them Beasley, and then they also gave them Vanderbilt. Like that's just so much overpayment.
You
Pat Bev, which they turned into fucking.
You smoked your bench.
Yeah.
So it's just like to me, low key, like that team could be a great like regular season team, even go off in the playoffs. Which I don't know, 2 bigs that aren't crazy mobile. I don't know. And we saw that Cat had fell off in the playoffs last year. Rudy always falls off in the playoffs. So I hope it works just because I love seeing great basketball. But it's just like they got 3 years max. And if they don't pull it off and get a title in those 3 years, it was a waste. Because now their future's smoked. It's not enough time. You need a whole year just to gel usually. At least.
Honestly, this isn't really hot, but they're not going to win with Cat at all.
No, I think they're not going to win with D'Lo. That's the person.
Oh yeah, for sure. I thought that was a given, but
yeah, I wasn't even considering D'Lo as an important player on that team.
Well, what I mean by that is, I really do think Cat and Gobert can work. Only for the simple reason is that it's going to let Gobert focus on the inside and let Cat focus on the outside. Cat's going to have a lot more energy on the offensive end because of it, and Anthony Edwards is growing immensely. So I think my issue with them comes from their 1 and 2 because. Like D'Angelo Russell is a bag of dicks on the defensive end, and then on the offense he's not consistent. So it's like he takes away a lot.
As a point guard, how the fuck do you suck on that team?
Right.
Yeah.
You look at the roster, there's no reason.
And it kills me because I love.
You got mad other people around
but
you.
it's just
do something.
He's dirt right now.
Like
he's not even facilitating right. He's like not taking advantage of pick and rolls. He's not doing anything off of screens for other guys. He's just standing out there being trash, and it's pissing me off. I love people, bro. I love
right. Like honestly, I don't even see him try to make any moves. Like
that's
he doesn't even really try to do anything. He just throws up
every
shots.
Timberwolves game I watched. He would run the floor for like the first 3 plays and then go stand in a corner. For the rest of the
and
game.
he would have like Pat or Pat Bev trying to be the floor general out there.
Right, like why the fuck is Pat Bev setting up plays?
Yeah, why is
you're the all-star point guard, bro? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it breaks my heart, but yeah, I think low key, I think that Timberwolves team, they're not going to do shit, and then their future is just going to get demolished because they gave up every first round pick on the roster.
I think their future is just going to depend on Anthony.
But if
Edwards,
you can't put anything around him,
if Anthony. Right, but at the very least, Anthony Edwards is a player that a lot of players are going to want to play with.
You can't do anything when you have 40-some-odd million going to Rudy Gobert every year.
No, but I'm saying, like, if it doesn't work within this 3 years, I'm saying. Like, the biggest picture possible.
All right, so
like, the worst-case scenario is that they have Ant and Cat for the next 10 years or whatever it's going to end up being.
I don't know if I'd stay for
Gobert's a loser. Like, let's be honest.
Holy
just
like
either way, these next 3 years we're not gonna. I feel bad for Alex Rodriguez because he has no idea what he's doing up there.
That was such a random.
I don't even know why the fuck he did that.
That shit threw me so off when he bought.
I mean, obviously he has people next to him that are telling him what's what, but like I feel bad because someone convinced him to go get Rudy Gobert. So. Oh man! So let's talk about the playoffs, baby. So the playoffs, man. Let's set a scene real quick. I think no one can set a scene better than me.
Sir.
Hey,
Go for it.
Pause. So to set the scene, last season it was pretty dramatic through the regular season, as we talked about, with all the awards and everything. So basically, we had the Heat and the Suns. They're going in as number 1 seeds. Not a lot of people believe that the Heat can pull anything off, but a lot of people believe that the Suns are a big threat. So the threats, when you look at it, going into it, we all thought it was the Bucks or the 76ers coming out of the East, with the possibility of the Celtics surprising everybody and the Nets going off just because they have KD and Kyrie. And then in the West, we had basically it was the Suns or the Warriors. that was basically the hype was that they were going to meet up, and it was going to be a dog race all the way to the end. So on top of that, the Lakers missed the playoffs and the Knicks missed the playoffs. They were 2 teams that a lot of people wanted to see in the playoffs. Then obviously other teams failed, like the Wizards and the Pacers and the Trailblazers,
all foreseeable,
and the Kings, but
those are all foreseeable.
Exactly. So when we talk about the play-in, because obviously that was the first thing that happened, the Nuggets were able to separate themselves from the Timberwolves. As we remember, at the end of the regular season, it was the Timberwolves and the Nuggets in a race for that number 7 or that number 6 spot. Which, I mean, it didn't matter anyway because in the first game we saw the Timberwolves beat the Clippers. So, VMan, why don't you lead us off on that?
The Timberwolves and the Clippers.
This was such a funny game, man.
Yeah, man.
This was such a funny game.
Oh,
man. The 2022 NBA champions. The Minnesota Timberwolves.
Something was going off. He was on the stanchion going off.
Playing tournament champions. Minnesota Timberwolves. Like, it was so random. That ending was so extra. Like,
they were crying. They were going off.
And it was like, the Clippers just blew the bag. I don't even really believe the Timberwolves really won that game.
Yeah.
Like, the Clippers just blew it.
Like, we watched. It was literally like watching both of those games for the Clippers. It was
It was
just like
horrible.
a car running down the highway trying to save itself from crashing with like a flat tire.
Yeah, like
And it was just a very slow demise in both games.
like you ever watch somebody like try not to fall for as long as they can? like that was the Clippers. Like they tried their hardest, but in the end they just couldn't do it. Like, but yeah, that awarded.
Oh my god.
That definitely awarded the Minnesota Timberwolves with going to the playoffs. And boy, was it a celebration in Minnesota. Standing on tables, crying, people hugging babies.
Yeah,
and
Pat Bev was
like,
crying as he walked
okay.
off the court.
Dumping Gatorade. I'm just like,
Minnesota,
all right.
they were just...
I don't think that
Those fans in
Gatorade is
Minnesota were
within
just
your
drinking all
team's
night long.
budget yet.
They acted like
Okay.
they just came off of an overtime Game 7 NBA
Right.
Finals W. Like,
Every bar was loaded with Timberwolves fans in Minnesota just crying and hugging each other. and
Fireworks
shit.
going off, bitches passing out. Like,
they were almost more dramatic. They were almost
I'm
more
like,
dramatic
okay.
than New York, man.
Confetti in the streets.
Yeah, it was
like,
it
well,
was
you
bad.
should probably get ready for your first round matchup now. But yeah, but all in all, that game, that was just an emotion-driven game, I believe.
100%.
Especially for Pat Bev. Especially for Pat Bev wanting to make the Clippers miss the playoffs. Like, yeah, that was a very emotional game.
Yeah, that was his driving force for that whole game.
Paul George kind of just like, I don't know,
He sold.
playoff P, literally, like, because he was great through like the first half.
I'll take the mic here. Psych now. So, I mean, my opinion was that, yeah, I mean, the Clippers just blew it. I mean, like, you could tell as the game went along, they were just losing steam. Because, like, just like the second game, Paul George starts off really, really hot. I believe this was the game that he had 20 in the first half or something like that. And then he finished with 34, and he struggled the rest of the way.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're right.
You know, when you look at the Clippers, it was just a big case. They were burnt out. I mean, Reggie Jackson was just like like he looked
Every
like
time I
he was
seen him, he
goddamn
was sweating
war.
profusely.
He looked like Kobe in his last game. Like the way he
don't do
And
that.
it's
moving.
sad because
Nah, Kobe was gasping for air every time he scored.
he
the
just
ball.
compared Reggie
He'll
Jackson
never
to
look
Kobe.
like Kobe.
All right, you guys know what the fuck I mean.
Don't do that.
You guys know
So
what I mean.
when it comes to the Clippers, I think it's just unfortunate because it was wasted. Because if they knew that the Suns weren't going to be the Suns, or the Grizzlies, that they were beatable, I imagine they would have tried at least a little harder. Because I mean, it sucks because Norman Powell and Covington was everything that they needed off the bench in both of those games, especially in the first game.
Yeah, for sure.
Because Powell scored 16 and Covington scored 9, but I also remember a couple of huge defensive plays from Covington that were made in that game.
Yeah, Norman Powell was a
So
great
on the
pickup.
Timberwolves end, this was just classic. This was Anthony Edwards just being a dog like he was in the
Yeah,
playoffs.
he
I mean,
was
he scored 30. D'Angelo Russell scored a random 29. I know we were just murking him. But yeah, overall, the Timberwolves, they win and move on. What do you think, Matt?
I think it was just like it wasn't really a game I really cared about like seeing because I knew whoever won that was about to get smoked in the first round. It was on, but when I watched it and then all of a sudden I see the after game shit, I'm just like, what is the meaning of all this? Like that shit was just blowing mine. I was like, what is going on? Like it was a
Anthony Edwards I just keep remembering Anthony Edwards awkwardly just trying to fit in and standing on top of the thing and just like, yeah.
like
It's looking crazy. What's
and
going on?
I honestly love it because I love seeing the younger teams and the younger players like getting a foothold into parts of this league and showing that they're that guy and they're up and coming. So it was great for Anthony Edwards. It was great experience, the play-in experience leading into the playoff experience for him. So it was great for him, and I loved that. But it was just a game where I was just like,
So when it came to the Clippers, now they gotta wait for their opponent. Who's that gonna be? It's the Pelicans or the Spurs. Nothing else can go wrong for the Clippers, right? They get 2 chances. So The Pelicans and the Spurs, they play. It was just another game where not another game, but this was the game that we knew basically the Pelicans just had to show up and they were going to win. They do win. That's the last time that we see DeJounte Murray in a Spurs jersey. Overall, it was just a smooth Pelicans win.
Yeah.
What do you think? V-Man.
Brandon Ingram, such a
Dog.
I love that guy. I love B.I. I love seeing him getting a chance to shine and
get his
do
flowers.
big things because I always knew that the kid had it in him. And it's like, I think the acquisition of C.J. McCollum definitely was a good pickup. He was like the quote unquote leader that the Pelicans needed.
Dropped 32.
Yeah, he was going crazy.
32, 7, and 6.
He was going crazy. But yeah, I think the Spurs, realistically, they had no business being there anyway. The Lakers should have made it, but I'm not salty or anything like that. Yeah, they had no business there anyway. I feel like the Pelicans team is way better than what their seeding was anyway. Again, if they had C.J. McCollum for the full season and they were able to get that chemistry down packed from the beginning, they're easily not even in the play-ins. They're in the playoffs automatically. Yeah. But it was a good one for the Pelicans. Good one for the Pelicans. Glad they made it. B.I. doing big things. C.J. McCollum, pretending still, but that's okay.
Such a dick.
Could have did that with Dame, but feel me,
for sure. I mean, it was kind of like it was a preview, and we didn't know it. We didn't know it was going to be a preview to like a nice little Pelicans run, because like I said, C.J. McCollum dropping 32, Brandon Ingram dropping 27. Alvarado off the bench with 12, Herb Jones contributing 12. It was
just a good team win.
Yeah, 100%.
A good team win. That's why I said it was a good one for the Pelicans as a whole. Like, they just did what they were supposed to do. Like,
and for DeJounte Murray, I mean, him and Keldon Johnson, I mean, at the same time, they did fumble the bag a little bit because DeJounte was 5 for 19 and Keldon Johnson was 6 for 20. But at the same time, like you said, they kind of glad that they didn't win the game and move on. We would have been robbed.
I say it's just could you really say that you wanted to see the Spurs in the playoffs last year?
Nope.
That would have, bro. I probably would have never watched any of them games, bro. No matter who they was playing, I wouldn't have watched any of them. Because they're just the most boring franchise ever created, in any sport.
Well, what do you think about San Antonio, man?
Not the whole series, just San Antonio. I mean, San Antonio, they didn't really have a team around them, low-key. It was Murray, it was Keldon Johnson. Pirtle was good last year.
How were they supposed to win?
Yeah, there was no way they were supposed to win. Low-key, C.J. McCollum was kind of that missing piece that, the like you were saying, that they could have used all season.
It was a complete snipe.
Because honestly, I always thought this when he was on the Trailblazers. He definitely could be a point guard-esque player, but when you got Dame on the court, Dame's taking that role, whether he's going to pass the ball or not. And so, CJ on the Pelicans, I feel like is a great. It's a great fit because he can facilitate. He can play the one. If you need him to, he can play the two. He can just be that veteran leadership that you need on the team. He can go out for 35 or he could go out for 15, but he's going to impact the game certain ways. And, my son B.I. was just – he's just – this year I loved it because, people were mid-season, oh, he's just doing what he did last year. He's not growing, this, and a third. He's polishing his game. Every game you can see him just learning new things and getting better. Yes. And that's what I was loving about this season and then going into the playoffs where he was just bugging the fuck out. I loved the steps the Pelicans are making, and I just can't wait for more going into next year.
110% on CJ McCollum being the point guard because I was kind of iffy when they first got him, how much it would really impact. But seeing CJ with a free full court and not someone next to him requesting the ball or someone next to him that's a huge impact player, it's nice because it was just free flowing basketball. Literally the whole way through, it was just a nice tempo. and that's what's going to be scary when throwing Zion into it. Because free tempo that's just working and just like no stress to it, no intensity. That's what I saw from the Pelicans. It was just smooth. It was free flowing. They just did whatever. Brandon Ingram was just fucking walking up the court and shooting in people's faces. CJ just throwing it all.
Yeah, and
honestly,
throw Zion into that.
You know what it is? To me, it's like that's kind of like a perk to being a low-seeded team. Because when you're playing those high-seeded guys, you really don't have any real pressure on you because you're not the one that's supposed to win anyway. So it's like all the of course, you still have the playoff pressure to go out there and perform. You're playing for a championship, yada, yada, yada. But still, with that being said, the team across from you is still the better team from you. Everybody's expecting them to win. They're not expecting you to win. So you're just going out there, playing, giving all your tricks, all, trying to be unpredictable and whatnot. And low-key, it always turns out to be fun because you never know what you're going to expect. That's why I always love watching upsets because it's not about it being an upset. It's how it happens. Usually when it does happen, it happens in a way that you would never expect it to happen.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's exactly what happened when the Pelicans faced the Clippers. My bad. So to conclude the play-ins on the west side, the Pelicans, as VMan said, it was a huge upset. They beat the Pelicans by 4. They outscored the Clippers by 14 in the fourth quarter. After the Clippers I don't know, the Clippers, they rocked the Pelicans in the third quarter. I remember. I was like, okay, I think it's done. But the Pelicans went on a run. Sealed the deal. Brandon Ingram absolutely goes off for 36 and 6.
My boy.
Not 36 points, but 36 and 6.
My boy.
Everyone else contributes. Larry Nance with 14 points and 16 rebounds.
He's a hustler, bro. He's a dog too.
CJ McCollum, he had 19. Trey Murphy was another one that they just have these guys that could just come in and give you like 10 plus points.
They got guys who are specific to roles that can just go out there.
And Trey Murphy, I think one of you guys mentioned it on one of the previous podcasts. That guy he's a good, annoying player. He was at plus 26.
Yeah, bro. They have a lot of guys that just know their role.
100%.
And if those guys ever get extremely good at playing their role, this team is going to be ridiculous.
Well, Matt, what do you think about the ending to the West's play-in? Pelicans moving on.
And it perfectly because I'm low-key, anyone who leaves the Lakers, I love you. So half the Pelicans team, they're straight Lakers players. So I always just want to see our former Lakers shining. And honestly, the whole team was shining. Everybody played their roles. Everyone was doing the right shit. And as the whole West as a whole, like I said, I love seeing young teams really just stepping it up and getting a foothold in the league. And Timberwolves and Pelicans, that's what they did. They proved themselves to at least be a contender for a playoff spot. And I liked how it ended. Out with the old and with the new.
For sure. And, to conclude that whole thing, Pelicans, they go into that 8th seed. Now they're expected to face the Suns, which we'll get to. Very interesting series.
Sure.
So let's take it on to the East. And it opened up with the Nets and the Cavaliers. For the one time in these playoffs, or if you even want to consider the play-ins the playoffs, for the last time in the season, it felt like things were smooth and right in Brooklyn land. So the Nets pretty much, they went off as a team. KD had 36. Kyrie had 18. Bruce Brown, the legend Bruce Brown, had 18. Drummond, he contributed, and so did Seth Curry. And on the bench was kind of flat. But other than that, I mean, the Cavs struggled outside of Garland. They were missing Jared Allen. Mobley was forced into the center spot. Drummond abused him. What do you think, B-Man?
Yeah, this was just one of the cases of how I said the Pelicans roster didn't match their seeding. That's the same case with the Nets. They had no business being down there. Everybody knows that. If it wasn't for injury and the whole Kyrie thing, everybody knows the Nets wouldn't be that far down. the Cavs kind of fell victim to that. There wasn't really anything that they could do. Especially with, if I'm not mistaken, Jared Allen was injured.
Yeah.
Yeah. There wasn't really much he could do. But, yeah, KD was KD. It was just too much for him. It was literally just too much for him. I watched that game, and throughout the whole game, it was like anytime the Nets or anytime the Cavs tried to make anything happen, KD was just like, yeah, nah, relax.
Yeah.
Relax. Like,
For sure.
and it was like, that really gave Brooklyn fans all the hope, because it was like, that, in theory, that's what Brooklyn was supposed to do to everybody.
Yeah.
Like, they were supposed to make it look easy against any and everybody. And honestly, after that game, it was kind of convincing. Like, yeah, I don't know who's in charge of these guys, but good luck.
That's a fact.
Like, well, yeah.
Matt?
I felt so bad for the Cavs because, like,
Bro, there was nothing they could do, bro.
midway through the year, I was sold on the Cavs. I loved their team. I loved what they were doing. I was like, wow, this is such a young team doing such good things. I was sold. I was like, all right, bet. I'm all in. I'm all in. And then injuries were piling up, like a lot. All their guys were in and out of the lineups, this, that, and the third. And then I just saw that they're sliding down the seeding. And once the playing schedule was put out, I was like, this is crazy. Because
it was like the game was in Brooklyn, and
yeah, I was like, literally, they're not going to make the playoffs. I mean, given they had 2 chances, but it's just like your first playing game is such a demoralizing one because you got KD in Brooklyn. Doesn't matter who else is on that team. KD wasn't going to not show up in that game, and it was just. And you're still down your all-star center from that year, defensive anchor. I felt so bad just because
This is the thing, though. It was like the Cavs, they didn't really play bad. If I'm remembering well, Darius Garland actually played pretty well. Didn't he have like 30 or something like that? Yeah, but like it's hard to beat Brooklyn especially, but any like really good team when everybody in the starting 5 scores double digits.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to the Cavs that night. Everybody on the Nets team scored 10 or more points in the starting 5.
And every time the Cavs
KD had 30 himself.
Yeah.
So
every time the Cavs would go on a run, KD or Kyrie, somebody would just hit a dagger 3 to be like, fuck you. And it's just demoralizing. It's just like,
Bruce Brown!
Yeah, it's just demoralizing. And so.
Especially when the other guys score. When the other guys score, it feels so bad.
Yeah.
Because it's like, at least when KD and Kyrie score, it's like, all right, that's KD and Kyrie. They do that. But when Bruce Brown is getting 15 and, like, Blake Griffin comes out of left field and gets you 10, like, you're just like, all right, come on, bro.
Goes back to his,
come on, bro. Like,
it's just,
we didn't plan for all that shit. Nobody should have to. I shouldn't have to plan for a Blake Griffin 10-point game. Like, that's just absurdity now.
So now we got the Cavs who are now waiting to see who they're gonna play after that sad loss to the Nets, and then the Hawks, they really just took care of business. Now the one thing that was notable in this game was Clint Capella's injury, and before going down he had 12 points and 14 rebounds, and this was after just one half of basketball. Keep that in mind. So the Hawks win. They win 131. Well, my bad. No, sorry, but they beat the Hornets. So the Hawks beat the Hornets. The Hornets' disaster season ends. For me, personally, my opinion on this game, I really just think the Hornets blew the entire bag this season, if I'm being quite honest.
For sure. With
how wide open everything was, they were a very deep team that could have benefited maybe from one splash of a move. You know, maybe trading for one player. Because when you saw Gordon Hayward just on and off the court, you have to at some point replace that. Or at least get something that's suitable to replace that. Because their wings...
They should have did that after last season.
It was bad.
I don't even think that they were a deep team, more or less. Like, I think more or less, like, a lot of their guys are in and out of the rotation type guys. And Gordon Hayward is just... He's not a guy that is going to affect your team in a good, positive way anymore. And Terry Rozier, I'm pretty sure, like we might have been talking about in one of the episodes before. I feel like he's stunting LaMelo's full potential. So it's just like I never saw. I don't think the players or anybody folded this year or fumbled the bag. I think the organization just that team wasn't built for like a winning right away team at all.
This team definitely was a deep team, though. It's LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward, Miles Bridges, Cody Martin, Kelly Oubre Jr., P.J. Washington, Jalen McDaniels.
P.J. Washington was in and out of the lineup for the first half of the season.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The organization
all that
wasn't
could have
doing
fixed
shit
that
right.
was one trade of a solid player that could have held everything down.
Yeah, the organization.
And now that you're looking at Bridges not coming back, Miles Bridges not coming back, and again. Whatever, he's a piece of shit, but he's a pretty good basketball player.
Honestly, I really believe that he bailed the Hornets out. Because truthfully, I actually like Miles Bridges.
Yeah, as a basketball player. As a basketball player.
And a rapper, I ain't gonna lie. Detroit. That's a fact. It's fire. But anyway, he bailed them out. Because if you look at it, he was really what was missing from that game. Like, Terry Rozier scored 20 points or more. Melo scored 20 points or more. He scored, 13 points. You're supposed to be the guy of the team. Like, if I'm supposed to come to you, I pay you the money to come through for me in those games. But it's like, in those games, what do he have? 13 points or something like that? 12 points? Yeah, he had 12, 4, and 4. He shot 5 for 11 and 0 for 4 from 3. That's terrible. That's terrible. You gotta give me more than that, especially against a struggling Hawks team as well. The Hawks didn't play particularly well in that game neither. Because if I remember, Trey was struggling tremendously in the first half of the fucking game. Yeah, Trey had 24 points.
Because Capella got injured in the next game.
Okay. Still, yeah.
Yeah, Trey had 24 points. He shot 8 for 24. And it was like, when he's shooting like that, typically they lose.
Almost every time, yeah.
But
Trey's not doing good, that team's
instead, Trey struggles and they turn that around into a 29-point win. How? How do you lose by 29 points if Trae Young is struggling like that?
For sure. So, yeah, the Hornets, they lose. They're eliminated. It's done and cooked. Matt, do you have anything to add to that?
I really... Those two teams, I expected the Hawks to smoke them. I mean, whether Trae Young was doing good or not, I just didn't think that Hornets team was ready to make a playoff push or anything like that. I just figured the Hawks were going to make light work of them, regardless of who was on the floor. Just from their experience the year prior, going against the Knicks, beating them, beating fucking Philly somehow, getting to the conference finals. They just had the experience on their side, and I just think the Hornets weren't ready yet. They were still a couple years out, in my opinion.
I was disappointed in them. I was 100% disappointed.
Disrespected?
Yeah, honestly, yeah, I was disrespected too, because it's bro. I really had faith in this team. Not really to win a championship or anything like that, but I at least expected them to be better than last year. They literally had no growth from last year. They fell in the exact same game last year. You got no better than you did last year.
They didn't add no pieces
as a franchise. That's concerning.
So, either way, it was. We thought it was the beginning of something because the Hawks they won. Well, we didn't think that it was the beginning of anything because it's the Hawks, regardless. The Hawks of this year, I should say. But the Hawks, they move on and they face the Cavs in one of the. Honestly, I'm gonna define this game as sad. I'm definitely gonna define this game as sad. Because we watched a really ailing, struggling Cavs team lose to the Hawks where, I kind of blurted out earlier, Clint Capella goes off. He just abused, and then he gets hurt. So Capella gets hurt, which was a major factor, in my opinion, in the Heat series because I think that destroyed the rest of Trey's game. And that was it. So the Cavs, just like the Clippers, thought that they were going to get a playoff series, and now they're out. VMan, what do you think?
I mean,
tell me what you think. Tell me what you think.
Well,
calm the fuck down.
yeah, there was just the Cavs young and inexperienced mostly, because the game wasn't that like far off. They only lost by like 6, right? They didn't have Jared Allen like Tom said, so Clint Capella was raining hell. Like they couldn't get a rebound at all until he got hurt. Like once he got out the game, it was like, but by then it was too late. It was definitely too late. But to further point out what Tom said, losing Clint Capella definitely did hurt Trey. It definitely hurt Trey because he still didn't have John Collins on the floor yet. So they were already very thin at big, and they just lost the only big that they had again. So, ayo.
Come on.
But,
yeah, I mean that's it was, yeah. I mean the Cavs, it was sad. Now they're out after a very cool.
I'm about to
season
say,
from
I
the
think
Cavs.
it was
Not
just
gonna lie,
so
that was
sad
cool.
just because the team had promise. Like during the regular season,
no one had them in the playoffs.
like they like showed us what they were capable of. It was like it was
And
cool,
it
like
was
you
something
said.
that was fun to
yeah,
watch.
it was cool. So it was like once you gave us that sample, we're like, all right, want more. But
Yeah, 100%.
unfortunately, due to injuries and bad matchups and stuff, yeah.
Matt, you got anything to add?
It's pretty much the same take as far as the prior Cavs one. I just felt bad for the Cavs, man. I was fully sold. The Hawks, more experience. They were more put together as far as just like healthy players. It was just it was a tough one to see. But same pretty much outlook. Cavs, I thought were just going to make a okay run. And they were undermanned pretty much at that point into the season.
For sure. So now the scene is set for the NBA playoffs. We're here. We're live. It's time to go. A lot of good series, to look forward to. So to run down the series that we are going to be seeing. 1 second. We're going to be seeing the Heat versus the Hawks, the Bucks versus the Bulls, the 76ers versus the Raptors, and the Celtics versus the Nets. You know, not a lot of things we were truly excited for from the East, but we also did want to see some of those teams like the Bucks and the 76ers and the Celtics or the Nets, whoever came out of that. We kind of wanted to see how they were going to play in the playoffs regardless. And then on the West side, we had the Warriors versus the Nuggets, the Grizzlies versus the Wolves, the Suns versus the Pelicans, and the Mavericks versus the Jazz. No, those were some fun, some really fun series. But anyway, so we move on into the playoffs. So the Heat versus the Hawks, very nonchalant series. It was just sad. Trae Young was just getting
Up on
the dog shit beat out of him every single game. Clint Capella, I truly believe this could be a hot take. But I truly believe if Clint Capella was healthy that they have a chance this series, only because Bam Adebayo was just not good at all, and Capella would have probably abused that man.
True.
Capella would have abused Adebayo. So, and then that would have opened the floor for Trey because now Trey loses his big alley-oop guy. It was just constant traps of Trae Young, just constantly trapping him at the top of the key.
Triple team that man.
He couldn't really do anything.
Couldn't do shit.
So they go down. They did take one, but overall they go down. In my opinion, go ahead.
Nah, they took one literally just off of the strength of Trey.
Yeah.
Like him just saying like, nah, I can't get swept. We're not going to lose all 4.
Yeah.
That was literally it. But there was never going to win anything more than that without Clint Capella. Nah. Hell no. But like you said, like you said, fucking, he would have abused Bam. He would have killed Bam. Because
Bam was being soft. He wasn't playing good.
And
I don't know what happened to that guy, but Clint Capella would have.
I still think.
And that's the thing. I don't even know what Bam's problem is.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know what
for
that
a
was.
player that's good, you would think they would want to be good all the time, right? Like, I just don't get that.
That's such a tough statement.
One night you can randomly give me 30 and fucking 15, but then the next nights you're giving me 10 and 7.
10 and 7, big
Like,
dog. That's
for
what you're
what?
gonna get.
Why?
That's all you're gonna get.
And it's like it would be one thing if he's just out there, shoot if he had a bad shooting night or something. This man just doesn't try.
He just wasn't attempting.
Like, what the fuck?
He was just,
Because I remember, I was forced to watch his game because I would do in-game bets to where he would get, like, a certain either points or rebounds. Yeah. And then I would watch, and I'd just be like, why do I I don't... One, how did he become one of the top centers in the league? Because I'm just watching a guy that it almost looks like this guy, like, is a rookie. Like, he's never played in the NBA
he looked
before.
very...
lost.
Bro, he looks scared.
He looked scared.
Yeah.
He looked
like
the whole playoffs. So like, it wasn't even just this series. It was besides one game where I think that was the game that Embiid didn't play or something like that. He just went off. But
I was just watching. I keep watching Jimmy Butler give these fucking heroic ass efforts, and I'm just looking like, where the fuck is the other guy?
Jimmy Butler.
I'm just like, bro, you got.
Yeah, and Hero wasn't really showing up in the playoffs. Lowry wasn't doing shit really. It was
like, yo,
Jimmy
where the
Butler
fuck is everybody else?
And it was sad. It was just sad seeing Trey just get boomed like that game after game after game after game.
Again, there's only.
I was just hoping it would end. Just hoping it would end.
There's not much you can do when you're getting triple teamed as soon as you come across half court.
Especially when you're that small of a guy. It's just
like
Sun's 6'1".
There's nothing you can do. When they're literally like, I know you're good at shooting from 30 feet and beyond, but when you're being forced to that all game, still having the shot contested, like, there's nothing you can really do about that.
Yeah.
Right. So the Warriors, they defeat the Nuggets, bringing it over to the West. The Warriors basically they toyed with them all series. That's what I got.
They basically did what they
was kind of like
to the fucking.
They were trying to get Steph back with
off
his
the bench.
feet
He
under
was
him.
Going off.
Yeah, Clay was trying to get used to playoff basketball again. This would have honestly been the perfect series for the Nuggets to kind of take away from the Warriors. Well, not win, but like at least make it a series. Yeah. But they didn't show up either. So the Nuggets, they win in a pretty easy 5.
No, the Warriors win.
The game that the Nuggets did win. Warriors win in 5. There was a game I think that the Nuggets won where Jokic was on the bench in the final couple of possessions because you can't trust him on defense, but somehow he's your MVP this year. But the Warriors win. They move on. Jordan Poole looked good. It was honestly just a cool series because the Warriors were just having fun with these guys.
And it was a perfect, like you're saying, it was a perfect series for like the Nuggets to show something. It was a perfect series for the Warriors to just get that cohesiveness back, get everybody's rust off, to get it because they missed the finals for 2 years after going for 5 straight. So it was a perfect. They missed the playoffs one of the years, but it was a perfect. It was perfect for them to get their feet wet, get them back into playoff basketball, and start fucking up the rest of the league after that.
Oh man,
D-Man, what you got on that? What you got on that?
Nah, in terms of this series, I just felt like this was the beginning of Steph Curry telling us that he's him. Because it's like literally throughout the series, throughout the entirety of the playoffs, but really like watching those games in live action and stuff, every time there was a big moment, Steph Curry came up. Like the Nuggets would always try to make it interesting, and Steph was always the answer to it. Like, just big 3 after big 3 after big 3, and I'm just like, all right, this like you literally have no answer to this guy at all, and he was literally pretty much just showcasing that, like, yeah, you have nobody that's gonna stop me from doing this, And again, the Nuggets had no answer for him. Like, no matter how good Jokic played, no matter how good anybody else played, it just didn't matter because Steph Curry was on the court. And that's really what I had took away from this series was the fact that if the Warriors could even play decently as a team and they leave it up to Steph Curry, they're going to win.
Yeah.
No matter who they're playing.
It was the beginning. It was the beginning of this Steph saga for his run for the.
It was the beginning of the end for the NBA last season.
Literally.
So we move on back to the East. The Bucks defeat the Bulls. The Bulls, in my opinion,
we went over this last year.
I wrote them right off.
They
it was sad to see the Bulls. I mean, for me, because it was the Bulls weren't a team that I had in the playoffs. Before. I think I had them in the play-in, but not the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, I just didn't believe in it. I didn't think that DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine were going to coexist. I mean, they did somewhat, but Lonzo going down, I did think make a big deal. I just think the Bulls fully healthy aren't beating the Bucks regardless. No, Giannis was on a mission, even though he didn't end up winning the championship. He was on a mission.
Yeah, for sure.
He was putting that team on his fucking back.
You can only do so much. Anybody.
Yeah, you only can do so much with Drew Holiday as your number 2, which he isn't a bad number 2, but he's not supposed to be a number 2 for that team.
And
we'll keep that Drew Holiday thought for the next series for sure.
Yeah, if you're gonna beat Giannis, you're gonna have to do it with a Herculean effort. It's gonna take something real to beat Giannis. He's just not gonna go down quietly.
He's one of the truest.
There was just no rhythm.
In the league, 100%.
There was no rhythm to Chicago whatsoever. It was just like they were bringing it down the court, and someone was just shooting. Someone was just fucking bricking it.
They weren't using the shot clock. They weren't setting anything up.
They're like the Spurs of the East to me. They just don't do nothing.
Yo, Greg Pop, you heard that? That's tough.
He appears on the podcast. Fuck you guys.
Nah, I love Greg Pop. These guys, they're just not them.
I'm tagging him when I release it.
Get a new team. Get a new team now.
Bro, he's definitely retiring after this
next
year. He's retiring.
So yeah, the Bulls, I didn't really think they had a chance. So they go out in 5. They did steal a game, but we all knew it just didn't matter. It was just
inevitable. It was just to steal a game type shit.
So to go to a more interesting series, the 76ers defeat the Raptors. Now, this was looking like a really good series at first. Intentional or not, Scotty Barnes got hurt. Was a very fishy play. But nonetheless, Scotty Barnes got hurt. That kind of took the winds right out of the Raptors' sails because, as you saw, when he came back later in the series, the Raptors started looking good again, but it ended up being too little too late because the 76ers ended the Raptors. And, I mean, Harden was still very deflating in the series. That was one notable thing. Embiid was looking... That guy right there was looking dangerous, though. I'll say that much. Embiid was
going
looking
through injuries.
I was like, okay, here we go, Embiid.
Embiid and Maxey.
Here we go, Embiid.
The fucking true MVP.
Yeah, Fred VanVleet shits the bed this series. He really didn't do anything for Toronto. Siakam did look good for what it was worth. Siakam looked really, really good this series.
Gary Trent was alright.
Yeah, Gary Trent.
It was just they didn't have. For me, even with Scotty, they probably weren't going to beat Philly. But it's just once Scotty went down, it was just like
it was what, a 6-game series?
Yeah, pretty sure. But it was just once Scotty went down.
At least going 7.
It was pretty much clipped when Scotty wasn't there anymore. Couldn't do much.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say this right now: Scotty Barnes is probably gonna end up being my favorite player in the league. I love that guy.
Yeah, he's a dog.
I wish that guy nothing but the best.
I wish him.
Oh, yeah, that guy's a dog. He's definitely a dog.
Hell yeah. So we got any thoughts on this series, or we gonna move on to the next one?
I don't got nothing.
I was about to say, kind of like Matt said, I don't really think Scotty Barnes going down really made a difference. The thing that made a difference to me in this series, oddly didn't make a difference in this series, made a difference in the next series, but Embiid getting hurt.
Yeah.
That greatly affected the Sixers' playoff chances and the chances in the next series. So
100%.
That was the only thing really significant that really happened in that series.
My son Embiid was getting hurt every game. Something new was popping up.
Just tragic, bro.
Oh yeah,
just tragic. And like that's the thing. That's why I love Embiid. Because he sustained like a lot of injury. Because if I'm not mistaken, it was his face.
He's not trying to miss any more games.
Yeah,
man.
he had something
He missed
wrong
the
with his
first
hand.
two
He had a
seasons.
broken
He's
thumb or some
like
shit.
that.
But he's still playing. Like he's still playing through it.
Yeah.
And like I haven't seen
think that
anybody that
ultimately-
Got a
determined
lot
to
of
play
heart.
through injury since Kobe did it.
That's a fact.
Like
Honestly, I'll say this right now. It'll obviously depend a lot on James Harden when I say this, but I think like either this year or next, I'm not going to be surprised if we see the 76ers holding up the NBA championship, only because
I
of
wouldn't be
what
surprised.
Joel Embiid is learning through all this. Because at the end of the day, some of these injuries he's been playing through are actually pretty unhealthy.
oh yeah, for sure.
to play through. But he has this mentality where he's missed the first 2.5 years of his career, missed time elsewhere throughout his career. He's not really trying to miss more time, and he's trying to go after it. And at the end of the day, has turned him from somewhat of an immature leader that he was at first to a really solid leader. And James Harden, if what he says is true, if we can sit here and say James Harden is a good, honest man, good to his word. He said that he wanted to be on a team where he was not the number one and that he can just
Here
feed
it is.
someone. This is your opportunity. This is your chance.
One moment.
I see
believe
good
that.
things for him either this year or
I
next.
100%
I honestly believe that because, like I
Well,
said,
it just
James
depends on
Harden when
himself.
he was in Houston, he was forced to do all that scoring, and that's what everybody wants to see and expects from him. But that's not his natural game style. His natural game style is the setting up other people. Because if you remember, even amongst him still scoring 50 and 60, usually those 50 and 60 still came with 10 assists.
Yeah.
Like he's a natural born playmaker. That's what he does. He play makes for everybody else. So him not taking those shots really doesn't bother me. It really doesn't. Like I understand like when you need to score, you need to score. But like as far as him being a playmaker, everybody doesn't like this style of James Harden. You got to go get 50 to be effective. I don't think that's true at all.
I never liked that style
Oh,
of James Harden. I never liked the James
no, that's a
Harden.
fact, 'cause
who would
honestly,
just
if
dribble
you
out
wanna
the
be-
clock, go
If
get
you
a
want to
foul.
be real, he was scoring 50 with 25 points from the free throw line. So he wasn't even
Yeah.
scoring 50.
That's a fact.
So it's like, all right, when he was scoring 50, your problem with him was he wasn't doing it efficiently.
Yeah.
But now he cut that completely out and started taking less shots. So he cut out the inefficiency
Yeah.
and getting his teammates better looks, more effective looks, more efficient looks. But now it's still a problem because he's not actively trying to score.
Yeah, we're going to talk about this on the next couple of episodes when we start looking towards next season. But Maxey's going to come back after another year. I just think this team, the right way, I think they got PJ Tucker now. I
Yeah,
think
they got Anthony Melton. They got PJ
They're
Tucker.
actually under fucking tampering charges for that.
Yeah, for both of them.
PJ Tucker?
Yeah.
PJ Tucker and Anthony Melton.
Yeah.
Imagine tampering.
Because-
for PJ
no,
Tucker.
because
for
they're
real,
saying-
that's
no.
serious because they got
Because
Daryl
there's-
Murray and fucking James Harden and it's conspiracy and
No, they think that they're going to be paying because James Harden took that pay cut and everything. They said they think that they're paying him under the table money as well, just so the team has more funds for those guys like PJ Tucker and Anthony Melton and shit.
Well,
But
what the fuck is that
moving
any
on.
of your business for? Fuck.
Moving on. The Grizzlies defeat the Timberwolves. In my opinion, the Timberwolves showed a lot of potential in this series, but they were still a walking disaster. I think they had them. They had the Grizzlies. Like, if there was any series where you could say a team had another team on the ropes and all it took was just a little bit more to put them away, it was this series because the Timberwolves, I don't even understand how this series was a thing. There was just so many people struggling. Cat wasn't showing up. Ja Morant wasn't showing up. It was just
it was rough.
the Timberwolves fucking blew it. They lose
Yeah.
4-2. I mean, realistically, it's a 2 versus a 7, but at the end of the day, they were in it every game. They were really making the
They're
Grizzlies
up
struggle.
on
They
a
had it.
decent amount of those games too.
I'm not even gonna lie to you. That series was an eyesore.
Yeah, there was a lot of bad basketball being played.
I feel bad for all of the fucking Timberwolves fans because they didn't deserve that. Like they really didn't deserve that. Not even just because they lost, because like you said, it was a 2-7 matchup. You really didn't expect the Timberwolves.
They're in
to
it
win
till the
anyway.
end. Most
But
of those.
bro, there was a couple of them games that you lost that you was up by 20 plus, bro. What? What the fuck is that? What is that? Just cried.
Pat Bev was just
Where
crying.
the fuck is that energy at? Where's all that hard work and
I mean,
tears,
Pat-
bro? Like,
Pat Bev and Ant, they had a good series, but it was just
like
again,
Cat,
you know,
what
Cat
the
didn't
fuck are
show
you
up.
doing?
My man Cat had
If I'm not mistaken, one of the
3
games
attempts, one
only
game.
scored 4 points.
He had 3 attempts on one game, which was that one, and he
Yeah,
had
bro.
7
One,
attempts
too.
on the other game. He had 3 terrible games and 3 okay games.
Just
And
the same as I said
Those
about
terrible
Miles
ones, he
Bridges.
just wasn't shooting, bro.
Just the same as I said about Miles Bridges. These are the games that I pay you for. I
Yeah.
pay the other guys for the regular season to get you into a good fucking position.
Yeah,
I pay you for once you're in that position to bring it home. That's what you're paid for.
you got to show that you're number one. If you're not going to show that, then you're not going to be our number
Like,
one. Like,
once you're in that position and you just blow it, what do I have you for? I'm trading you. If I was the Timberwolves, I would have traded Cat after that. I wouldn't have even got
That's
Rudy
my whole
Gobert.
thing.
Like,
They were literally, in my opinion, that series, they were Cat just showing up away from winning that series, literally.
right.
Because
yeah, 100%.
my whole, like, through the whole season, I felt like something was written for Cat. Like, that's how I was able to predict him winning the 3-point contest. You know, I predicted, them
predict
getting
that shit.
in. Like, the whole season, he's carrying himself as if he's him. So, not that I bought into it, but, like, literally, if you were just him in the playoffs, you would have been him. But now, you're not him.
Like,
I don't
And I don't want to
actually,
say you're
that
her
team.
because I'll get canceled. You just exist, Cat. You just
wild.
exist.
You're wild. You're wild.
Like, you're just there.
And that's my issue is that if you're not gonna perform like this, it's not like you have some athletic number 4 around you. You have Rudy Gobert around you. So if Cat doesn't work, Gobert's not gonna work. Fuck the
Holy
fuck the
shit.
Timberwolves, fuck the Grizzlies. So we get to the Celtics and the Nets. Very shocking, but we probably should have
Title
known it.
track.
Like especially me, I thought the Nets had a chance. I thought they had
Oh,
a
yeah.
good one. But Celtics just sweep the Nets. I mean, there was just like KD was. It was simple, and it was like this is why Steve Nash is a horrible coach because he made 0 adjustments through the entire series. It was literally like the Nets run the ball down the floor. It doesn't matter if it's Kyrie or
ISO,
KD.
ISO,
They would
ISO.
have one guy on Kyrie, 3 guys on KD, and 1 guy to guard everybody else, and then they would rotate as they needed. It was disgusting. The Celtics were snapping. But that's the thing. Like they made KD for the first time ever. I saw KD overthink and just not know what to do. And it was turnovers where you could tell. Like he was just throwing the ball in the middle of 2 teammates because he was just so like just confused, and the Celtics were just getting him like that. But there was nothing else happening. I mean, Bruce Brown was going off because he was the one being left open on most of these possessions. But Kyrie wasn't really adding anything because he was tired from Ramadan. And Steve Nash wasn't making adjustments. I mean, Steve Nash's one adjustment was to bring Blake Griffin in, and Blake Griffin somehow... I don't even understand... Like, it's like what VMan said earlier. I don't even understand... like, if I'm the other team, I'm not even considering Blake Griffin to be a thing.
Right.
Which is why he caught them off guard so much. Because, like, it's like Blake Griffin came in, and after 4 minutes, he looked like he just fought the whole game. Like, he's, 40 minutes in. Like, just completely put Brooklyn on his back, dropped 50 and 20, and he's, trying to win the game. No, he was Blake Griffin on his last legs. It was tough to watch regardless.
Okay. His fucking 50 and 20 was just 8 and 3.
Yeah, it was a tough series to watch, especially because most people who were saying whoever comes out of this series is probably going to the finals because the Middleton thing, this and the third, and it's just like I also was one of them, and I thought that it was going to be the Nets more or less, but it's just like for them to get put down that bad. It's
Wrong team, wrong time.
Yeah.
I think they just ran into the wrong
Celtics
team
had
in the first round.
every game plan set up for them, except for Bill.
Because I truly believe the Nets would have done better against the Bucks. They would have done better against the 76ers. They would have done better against those other teams. But it's just because they ran into the Celtics defense and Kyrie was on Ramadan. It was just...
They set that game plan up for them on defense, and it worked so well.
That's the thing. I don't know. Well, if Chris Middleton goes down the same way, yeah, they definitely have a better chance against the Bucks. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Like you said, Steve Nash is terrible. Like, I don't. If they would have got matched up with the Heat, can you really say that it would have came out any different way? I'm not confident in that.
Yeah, because they were low-key doing the same thing with Trey.
I only say yeah because like the point guard position for the Miami Heat wasn't the best defensively, so I think Kyrie would have gotten a lot more looks. It would have been a little bit easier for him, but I don't think we're ever gonna really get a full opinion on that because the Celtics, as we saw throughout the whole play, defensively nuts.
Yeah, oh yeah, they had arguably two
Crazy.
of the best top 5 defenders in the league on their team.
But that's the thing, though. The Heat is also almost equally great on fucking defense.
They just don't got as much size as
But just in a little bit of a different way though. Because I believe
also
KD
play
could,
aggressive.
KD would be
I
able to
think-
do shit against the Heat, whereas he wasn't able to do shit.
I think the Heat's defense comes from just straight grittiness and drive, where Celtics, I feel they have just actual defensive structure and defensive skills out there. I think the Heat are just we're dogs. We're gonna run at you. We're gonna tire you out.
What if Eric Spoelstra's in the fucking in his huddles and shit, and he's only saying he's not imagine he's not in there drawing up crazy plans, or he's not strategically a good coach. It's just his. You got this, guys. I believe in you. Is just the most motivating thing anyone will ever hear.
You got it. You got it. Just keep going.
It's just hypnotizing.
Keep playing.
Just him saying, "You got this, guys," and they're all like, "Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do.
We got it, coach. We got it."
He hits him with the Coach Carter.
But yeah, I mean, the Celtics, they sweep the Nets. I mean, it was shocking, but a lot of people maybe should have seen the Celtics thing coming, myself included, because I had the Nets winning the series. So yeah,
right.
that destroyed my whole bracket and everything. So the Suns, they defeat the Pelicans. This series I saw is the rise of Brandon Ingram officially.
100%.
I think Brandon Ingram is now official
He's a star
in the league as a top guy.
He's a star in this league.
A dog and a top guy. Yeah, the Suns, they defeat the Pelicans. This is the series that I thought was officially the rise of Brandon Ingram. The Pelicans absolutely rattled the Suns over every single one of these games in this 6-game series. They lived in the moment. The Suns were getting frustrated. Felt like this was the beginning of what I thought was going to be the end of Ayton on the Suns, because as you can tell, he didn't have the best posture.
He
Chris
had
Paul
no
wasn't
passion.
having the best conversations with him.
Nah, hell no.
Devin Booker was frustrated. It just wasn't. It kind of just set the tone for a Suns collapse, in my opinion. I mean, the Suns, they still won with ease 6 games. I mean, it's not 7. The Pelicans are a good team. They took 2, but the Suns won. It wasn't very convincing, but it was the end of the Pelicans, the fun Pelicans. I mean, we all wanted to see the Pelicans keep moving, but obviously it wasn't realistic for them to beat the Suns yet.
I mean, Booker was still out for 3
Fucking knocked
games,
the shit out
so
of him, but-
that also added to a lot of their stress and everything. Because they're like, "Damn, who do we
Man, that
rely
shit was
on?"
fake.
But I mean, he didn't play for 3 games, so whether he was injured or not, whether it was fake or not, he still
That
didn't
shit
play
was
for
fake.
3 games. So it left a lot of opportunity for the
But I'm a
Pels, and they
firm
did.
believer because even when watching Devin Booker play this year, he had some great games. Don't get me wrong, but it was still just when's the elevation gonna happen? When are you gonna just actually lead this team to where it needs to go? Because my
don't
opinion
think
is
he had-
Devin Booker's
That's the
I don't
thing.
think
That's
he has
not
that
supposed to be his
mindset.
job.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be
Paul's
Chris
job.
Paul's
Yeah.
job to elevate him.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, Chris
That's
Paul's
what
an
we
old
brought
ass
you here
man, and
for.
Devin Booker's the best player.
I don't think Devin
so-
Booker got the mindset of "I'm gonna lead this team. I'm gonna be the leader."
He talks like it.
He can
He
talk
talks
the
like he's
talk,
the
but
fucking
I
best
don't think
player
he.
on this planet.
I don't think he knows how to walk that walk. I think he's just.
That was the
He's
problem.
the only
with-
player in the league for me that can score 27 and I can't blink an eye to.
Like
Mad underwhelming.
that was the
love
problem
Devin
with
Booker,
Chris
too.
Paul
I
and
don't
James
know.
Harden. Like, this is the type of player that Chris Paul needed. The dominant but submissive
Yeah.
player. Like, Devin Booker is dominant to everybody else, like the opponent, but he's very submissive to Chris Paul, which makes no sense to me. It makes absolutely no sense to me, but James Harden wasn't willing to submit to Chris Paul, which is what the problem
first year
was.
they were together, though, they were still good together. Chris Paul and Harden, they almost took out the fucking Warriors, but Chris Paul went and died like usual, you know.
Just a whole bunch
that's
of
why Chris
shit
Paul
for that,
can't. That's why Chris Paul can't be the number one on the team.
No. His earlier years, sure.
So if Chris Paul is
If he was
going
the
to
number
be
one on this Suns team, they're lottery.
they're not lottery, but they're not going to.
Wait, number one?
I don't
in what
even-
way though? Scoring?
No, I mean no, just like the head of the team.
Best overall player, but you don't have to be the scoring
Okay.
player. Like
Not
he
best
was,
overall player,
like
but
he
the
was
head
for
of
the
the team.
Thunder. He was the head of that team.
Yeah,
Well,
but they still
at
made
this
it to
point
the
for
he's the head of the
CP,
team.
for me, he can still lead and be very effective, but like you can already see the decline in his game year over year. now that he's older.
Like we can't.
Like they used him a lot less this year too.
We can't keep having the same
for sure.
expectation year after year that we had for Chris Paul 10 years. We can't keep doing
But at
that.
the same time, yeah, we can't keep doing that at a certain point. But at this point, these are his best shots at a championship,
100%,
and he's
100%.
blowing them again.
He's not that guy. He's
Like
not him.
here, well, we'll talk. We'll continue this talk in the next.
Because they won
series.
this series. We
But
shouldn't be
the-
shitting on them in this series.
The Pelicans, to wrap up the book on the Pelicans, they're going to be really good this
Hell yeah.
year. I'm going to save a lot of what I'm going to say for them for the next episode because they're probably going to be a big factor because we're expecting some good things from them next year. It was fun to see. It was
good
exciting.
things.
Hell yeah.
It kept this series exciting because we knew the Suns were going to win the whole time, but it at least gave us some excitement. Brandon Ingram became the
This was
dog that we all
Brandon
wanted to
Coming
see.
out party, bro.
This was his
Yeah,
coming out
100%.
party for real.
Right before our eyes. It was nice
It
to
was
see.
beautiful. Don't sleep
sure.
on them next year, guys.
So
Hell no.
to lose to end the first half, to end the first round of the playoffs, to end an entire franchise, to end a good friendship or good duo. In my opinion, no matter if they didn't win or not, Donovan Mitchell and Gobert will still go down as one of the better duos in big picture things. They won't get
Some said
compared to
good
Jordan.
friends.
Pippen,
They did
and
not
Shaq,
like
and
each other,
Kobe
bro.
and
Say
shit.
better for what?
They did not like each other
But,
either.
like-
They weren't even good friends, bro.
Yeah, there was a funny stat that like I think Donovan Mitchell only passed Rudy Gobert like two or three times per game this season.
Yeah,
Two or three
bro.
times.
He did not like Gobert at all.
Bro, Rudy
So-
Gobert literally gave him COVID.
He
Like,
gave the whole league COVID.
Basically, the Jazz and the Mavs, they come in this series. The Mavericks know they're not going to have Luka Doncic. So basically, what we're thinking is two things. And it's funny that they played out this exact way that almost everyone thought it would. Was that, okay, the Jazz should win this series,
but they
but
won't.
they won't.
right.
And when you
Right.
say something like Luka's out, it should be
a huge
a done deal. This should have been like a Jazz.
It should be a huge
at
thing.
least they win the first 3 games.
It should be a huge
It
thing.
should have been.
It was so bad.
But they couldn't. But Jalen Brunson happened.
Fucking
And
Brunson.
then now the Knicks have him because I think this is one of the big reasons Jalen Brunson just goes off, gets them a couple wins so that when Luka Doncic comes back, he can finish it off. The biggest thing for me was just the atmosphere and how it ended. It was so storybook. It's how it should go for a team that underperformed this badly. So to set the scene, Rudy Gobert I don't think was even in the final possession. At the end of that series, I felt like they were taking him out a lot in the fourth quarter. Gobert just couldn't handle it.
So because he was
Maxi
getting
Kleber
exposed
was-
on the outside.
Yeah,
He's been
Maxi
getting
Kleber
exposed
was
on the
doing
outside the
damage.
last 3 fucking years.
It's stupid because we shouldn't be able to predict a series like that. But it did. Like, I literally sat there and said, Maxi Kleber and who was that other guy that they had? That other guy that was making threes that they got from the Wizards?
Bertans.
And then Bertans. Those two were making threes. I said, the Jazz are going to blow it. Mitchell's going to underperform. Gobert's not going to add much. But Gobert did do his thing in some of these games here on the offensive end, which was a shock. But it all boiled down to the final play. Donovan Mitchell absolutely falls apart in Game 6. It was absolutely unreal how badly he actually fell apart. And I bet on him, I think, to make 2 threes that entire game, and he only made 1. and he just kept chucking. It was bad. It was
The
really
fact that
bad.
it didn't
But at
even
the
go
end, they had a
7.
chance to win. Snyder draws up a beautiful play.
Beautiful play.
To understand that Donovan Mitchell shouldn't be taking the final shot, so let the play evolve around Mitchell and then find the open man. I thought that was a great play. So motherfucker gets the ball, Bojan gets the ball,
Bogdanovich.
pump fakes, dude flies over him. I'm like, he's gonna miss a wide open 3, isn't he? And then he just sits there. It was just a nice, slow, smooth shot. Should have made it. Clunk. Right off, and just like Donovan Mitchell did the entire series, he falls to the floor with his hands over his head. Everybody else is stunned, and the Jazz are gone for good. It's over now. It's officially over now that he's traded to the Cavs.
We know it are done.
And
still got
if that was
Bogdan.
anybody else in the NBA, they would have made that shit.
They still got Bogdanovich.
That shit was
saying.
wide open, bro. That was literally a practice shot, bro.
I think you
like
could
literally
made that.
after he I would 100% have made that. After he pump fake and the guy flew into like the 3rd row. He was nowhere to be found anymore.
That was the most he tried the most heroic block attempt of all time. Because I didn't even see the pump fake coming either. I didn't know he could pump fake.
I didn't know he could.
Because he didn't think that he was gonna have enough time to shoot it after he pump fake. So he just committed to the block. It just said
then he had all the time in the world and still missed.
So yeah, once he pump fake and sidestepped them, I'm like, oh, this gotta go in. It got. There's literally not another.
But we were
player.
watching that game, and you heard me say, "Wow, he's about to miss." As soon as he did the pump fake, I looked at VMan. I was like, "Yo, he's about to miss this."
Bro, there was not another Maverick within 5 or 6 feet of him, bro. There was nobody close to him, bro. He was wide open in the corner.
God.
And I
wherever
was like, yo.
he's traded to, where he's not going to be the same player anymore. I know I couldn't.
Thomas said, yo, he's going to miss that. I was like, nah, there's no way. This is it, bro. I was like, yo, wow. I was just like, that's insanity, bro. But like you said, it was just the fitting way for this team to go down.
And like I said, it was just like you saw Snyder just turn around. Like, he couldn't even, he was just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you fucking assholes couldn't get along. You know, Gobert shuts down the NBA, and Mitchell and Gobert just were like divas for like 3 years straight after that. And then you fuckers, and then fucking Bojan, I give you the ball. I never give you the ball, but I gave you the ball.
Right.
And you had the perfect shot, and you fucking missed, you bitch. Now he's not coaching this year. I don't blame him. I would be so pissed.
I was
because he's such a good coach.
Yeah, Quinn Snyder
for all that, you could have just kept Joe Ingles. And Joe Ingles would have made that shot. He would have made that shot. Bro. I promise you, he would have made that shot.
Dude, he would have done the big balls dance.
Right. For sure.
So that's the end of the first round. It was, to me, it was honestly, as this season went along, I thought it was the perfect first round. I mean, as we go along, some unfortunate shit happens, and then a good, fortunate ending, thank God. But who do you guys think was the MVP in the first round altogether? Crazy question.
I say Jalen Brunson.
MVP in the first round.
Jalen Brunson?
He held that team together so Luka could get back. In the first round, he averaged 28. I'm rounding up here for these just because it's like 27.8. He averaged 28 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists on good efficiency. And it wasn't even just for when Luka was out. When Luka came back, he was still putting the work in, getting the shots up, making it on good efficiency. So I think Jaylen Brown, just because if he wasn't able to do that, who knows if Luka would have been able to go on the
Brunson or Brown?
Brunson. Did I say Brown? My bad. Brunson.
Yeah, I was like, wait.
Did I say okay? If he wasn't able to hold it together and do that, who knows if Luka would have been able to carry it for as long as he did in the playoffs? Who would have known if they even make it out the first round? So I say Jalen Brunson.
I'm on the side of Jaylen Brown. I say Jaylen Brown is the MVP because honestly, watching that series and watching how he led that defense to absolutely crush the Nets. I mean, obviously it was a good defensive effort all around. But when you really watch the intensity that Brown brought, pointing people to different spots on the offensive end, he was still doing good. I believe him and Tatum both had a very good offensive series that series. And I just think, realistically, on the Mavericks end, I could choose Jalen Brunson, but He gave the keys to Doncic the rest of the way of that series. And I just don't see an MVP from the Suns, the Grizzlies, the
At all.
76ers,
None of
the
those.
Bucks, the Warriors,
Nope.
or the Heat. So I'm just going Jaylen Brown.
Okay, yeah. Not a bad pick at all. Who you got, VMan?
My MVP isn't even an MVP because he's not a player.
Oh. Who we got?
The Celtics coach,
Ime Udoka.
the game, Ime Udoka, that game plan that he put in play against the Nets,
Yeah.
flawless, absolutely flawless, and the record showed it.
Coach of the series.
You don't just sweep Kevin
Okay.
Durant like that.
Okay,
You just don't do that.
If we're naming an MVP that's coaches, I think Jason Kidd gets the MVP of the whole fucking playoffs.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but okay.
We could talk about that.
Well,
I'm
I'm about to say that's still
I'll
debatable
say
because
Steve Kerr.
I don't. Jason Kidd really came into his own this year.
Yeah,
I loved
especially
it.
after everyone was saying like he wasn't a good coach because of Brooklyn when he was there way before, and Milwaukee and this and the third. And Giannis has always said like he helped him develop.
It's just
greatly.
him learning how to be a coach.
And then when he went to the
continuously getting his
Lakers,
chances.
everyone had such high praise for him as an assistant. And then now Dallas, he came into his own as a head coach, 100%.
And like for me, it's like Brunson went off. That was definitely a big factor when Luka was out. But for you to continuously for your team to go into this series without Luka, that's very deflating. First off, second off, Luka is your offense.
100%.
Like he is the entirety of the offense. So for him to come up with still a very good game plan and everything without Luka, I thought it was good. That was definitely huge. So least valuable player, man. Who's your least valuable?
I got Cat. For me,
that's kind of
for me, it's just like the whole year.
we're just gonna name all fucking Timberwolves.
For me, it's just like especially what you were saying this year. It was kind of built, like it was laid out this year for him to just like go on such a run. Like his stats through the roof or his stats all around were through the roof. The team was not looking as putrid as it had the years before. Won the 3-point contest, was going on. But it's just like when you go into this series, especially after all the energy from the play-in game. In game 2, you only attempt 7 shots, and in game 3, you only attempt 4. And then, or you only attempt 3, I think. But no, he didn't even get fouled out in either of those. He just wasn't attempting shit.
No, but he was in foul trouble a lot. If I remember.
Throughout the series he was, but
fault.
that affects you on the defensive end. Put in work on the offense. And then game 4 and 5, he did good. He had like 30 points on both of those games, good efficiency. And then game 6, you went like I think it was like 6 for 19, was in foul trouble, and it was just like.
I hate when centers put up those stat lines. It's like you have
it's just like
going 6 for 19. So why
for the series? If you just look at it on paper, he averaged 22 and 11. All right, you wouldn't think anything of it.
Yeah,
but
get your big ass in the paint and fucking get some.
He showed
easy
no
shots.
energy.
Like, what are you doing, dude?
He wasn't uplifting his teammates. He wasn't making them better. For a number one to be doing that, playing the way he did, it's not acceptable. Ant has to take the reins of that team over the next couple of years and just pinpoint that it's his team and just make Cat the definitive number 2. And yeah, Cat was definitely my least valuable player for round 1. VMan, what you got?
Like I said, we're just gonna run the Timberwolves over because mine was actually fucking D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, I could see
That's
that
a good
100%.
point.
I just didn't expect shit from
before
D'Lo.
you dig into that, the only team he did well against in the regular season was the Grizzlies.
Right.
So
the team that you played well against, in the regular season, it's like all
his
of your
only
numbers
30-point
dipped.
games this year came against the Grizzlies. 3 of them.
Right. Like, and then you go into the playoffs against them and you average 18.
He lost me a lot of money.
I just don't think D'Lo is that guy. So like, it's just like 18 is honestly a high side for him, low key to me.
But this is why the 18 is like so like
it's empty.
Not demoralizing to me, but it's like, bro, like you could do better than that. It's because what he literally did with the Nets. What was it, 2 years prior to that? Like when he was with the Nets playing in the playoffs, he would against Philly. Ben Simmons was the primary defender on him, and he still averaged over 20 points a game.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, he scored 25 plus 3 times in that series.
Yep, pretty sure.
Ben Simmons the year after that was the runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year. So it's like you did that against a potential Defensive Player of the Year. Why all of a sudden you can't do it? Like you're bringing not like your numbers are completely empty. They have no effect on the game at all. Like when you were in Brooklyn, you were winning because of you. Why are your numbers so empty now? Like what changed about you? That
I think Golden State kind of changed him.
He has to fix that fast too.
Very fast.
If I honestly think that this year's success, maybe not the next couple of years, but this year, since we probably all still agree that Ant is still developing,
100%.
Is that like their success is going to depend on a lot on him. Because like no matter what happens with Cat and Gobert, if D'Angelo Russell is good, they'll find their way.
If he can just be a guy, to me, if you got Cat and Ant on your team, you don't even got to score 20.
Just be active.
I say be active, score like around 16, but have like 8 to 10 assists because he can pass. He just is like lazy on offense this past year or two. I feel like he can pass, he can distribute, he can do all that. Do it.
This is the thing to me. It's like the Timberwolves are actually putting more into him than I think that they should.
Yeah,
because I believe that if they would have included him in that Rudy Gobert trade, they would be in a lot better position than they are now. If they would have got to keep Jared Vanderbilt instead, and they gave up D'Lo, I feel like they would have been in a much better position.
I have a different opinion on that. I think that
what's it called? Ant could play the one. He's more than capable of playing the one.
But they wouldn't need that because if they trade D'Angelo Russell, not Vanderbilt, and the few firsts and whatever else the Spurs wanted, I believe they should have went after DeJounte Murray.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Especially since you gave the package that you did for Gobert, I would have just flipped
DeJounte Murray
I'm about to say because that gives you another dynamic though, because that's like a
Vanderbilt
that's a
at the
real
4
piece.
and Cat at the 5 is still very valid.
Yeah.
And Vanderbilt.
So, I mean, whatever. We'll see. We'll see.
Having a great year, Vanderbilt. Like, I was looking upset they just sold on him this year and said, "All right, let's get Gobert."
Well, he's about to be the king in Utah.
I didn't pay attention to him up until
it's about to go off in Utah.
Up until Thomas said something to me. Up until Thomas said something to me, I didn't even know who Jared Vanderbilt was. Like, this guy, he came to me and said, "Yeah, he's the hardest working guy in the NBA."
I was high as shit that night too.
What? I'm just like, yo, bro. You realize that Giannis is a player, right? You realize that Giannis is a player, right? Like, I've never seen anybody play as hard as Giannis. So now I'm like, I'm watching random ass Timberwolves games just to criticize the guy. And like, bro, he really was working extra hard, bro. Like, he was working, man. I'm like, all right, you know what? I can't even argue with this.
He was doing all the
every game
things,
I watch, he's diving all over the place. He's trapping. He's doing all types of bro. I'm like, all right, yeah, bro. And it's like, I really believe that players like that, they're inexpensible. Or indispensable. Like, you really can't give those players up, like, just freely like that.
Yeah.
I don't think, like, Rudy Gobert's a defensive player of the year, but I don't think he gives you that type of tenacity back. I really don't.
He's a defensive player of the year on only half of the game played. Like, he only can guard.
It's a trade that we all would have made on 2K when we were like 11.
Yeah.
We would have just seen the name let's do it. My team's unstoppable now. But my
actually thinking about it
player
thoroughly
is going to Donovan Mitchell. I just think as you claiming that you're a superstar in this league and other people claiming that you're a superstar in this league, I think with Luka out, you got to be a shark and you got to just smell the fucking blood that's obviously there in the water, and you didn't. You just laid an egg. I'm sorry. Why would
real quick?
Huh?
Real quick, yo, VMan, do you think if the Knicks were able to get the trade done for Donovan Mitchell, do you think you would have this take?
No, because I wouldn't. I would have no choice but to be supportive because he's going to be on my team for the next several years, so I have to just suck it up. But since he's not, fuck Donovan Mitchell, honestly. And fuck the people that think we should have traded for him. Man, if you really think that getting rid of RJ Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, RJ Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, and Emmanuel Quickly and 5 first-rounders for Donovan Mitchell is going to solve our issues and leave him with Julius Randle and fucking Jalen Brunson. With a shit show with Tom Thibodeau just overworking Donovan Mitchell and him shooting like 6 for 37 every night.
I think Utah just didn't want to trade with them. And
I'm happy.
So they just gave a... They just set it off like a wild thing just to see if they would go for it.
I'm sorry. Like, I'm glad the Knicks, honestly, of all the players that we could have gotten, the only players that I'm sad that we didn't get was LeBron fucking James and Giannis. And then maybe, but like, we weren't even in a position to get KD when he went to the Warriors. The second time, I'm glad we didn't get him and Kyrie. And I was fine the day that we didn't get him. I mean, yeah, I was a little pissed because it's like, come on, but at the same time...
KD, Kyrie, Zion, they were set that
year. Well, that Zion shit was some bullshit. All right? we were supposed to have the first pick in the draft, and we fell to third somehow. That is not the Knicks' fault.
What do you mean somehow?
Either way in the lottery, it's still a 14%
odds.
I know, but damn. Like third? I'm glad. Imagine if we fell to fourth.
The first 4 teams have 14%.
We fell to fourth and get... Who the fuck was fourth? It was funny. Some guy that they said we should have drafted anyway.
It was funny.
So the Heat faced the 76ers the next round. This was sad. Embiid gets hurt. That kind of took the sails right out of Philly. Jimmy Butler was going nuts in this series, basically just abusing Philadelphia. Philly, it was kind of a good case of why did you get rid of this guy when you had every opportunity in the world to keep this guy. That was kind of what was shown on the series. Harden still struggled, but at the same time, it was kind of acceptable because Embiid wasn't really there. Maxey was kind of starting to trail off. Tobias Harris, he had a good series, but again, way too little, way too late. And the Sixers are out, kind of an example of superstar going down, team going down, that's it. Miami benefits off it again.
Yep, for the second 100%. Time in a row. And, yeah, just unfortunate for Philly, because I honestly believe that if everything were to go right, if Embiid's health was right, they probably would have had a chance.
But imagine the Heat fans, though. Like, imagine, like, you're a Heat fan, and you're literally, it's like walking outside, and you see some, like, poor old man getting jumped by 6 dudes. And he's mad, defenseless, and you're just sitting there like,
yeah, get his ass! Get him!
Woo!
Honestly,
we the best, baby! We the best players in the world! Like,
sadly, because of the injury, like, fucking Tyrese Maxey was the only consistent player through that whole series.
He wasn't even
because everyone else was just shot.
Yeah, it was.
He's the only one who averaged 20 points a game. Like, he was the only one.
A lot of those points were in garbage time. I remember that.
Philly was just over that season.
Yeah.
I feel like
they were kind of getting
everyone
used
on their
to
team
each other,
was
I think.
battered.
I feel like after Embiid didn't win the MVP, he kind of just didn't care anymore. Like, not that he didn't care anymore, but it was like the motivation wasn't there.
The drive was a little... Yeah,
because now he's looking at it like, man, nigga, no matter what I do, it's not going to be good enough, so...
But at the same time, fucking MVP, get your chip.
Because it's like... But it's kind of the same thing as like the...
Jokic ain't winning one of those.
This year.
I'll go on record right now and say Jokic is never going to win an NBA championship.
It's kind of the effects that, like, winning the Defensive Player of the Year did for Marcus Smart and the Celtics. Like, after he officially won that award, he carried that swagger with him. Like, and that translated to that translated into the game. Like, he wore that one, the one thing to the game against the Nets that had a Defensive Player of the Year on the back of it. Things like that, that translates. So, like, especially when you're in position for that award, especially like one of the more prestigious awards of the NBA, you're in position to win that. The majority of the people believe that you should win that, and then you don't win it. It's kind of like, well,
I'd have been like, fuck y'all. Now watch me win this shit. Like,
but then you got that, and then
you got hurt.
Case of now, I say then you get hurt. So now you're just double demoralized, triple demoralized because you got hurt twice.
What is it gonna take, God? What is it
literally, he had that moment. Like, what is it gonna take?
Yo, because for Embiid, it's like he's getting his MVPs robbed. Ben Simmons quitting on him for no reason. Like, random James Harden trade. Like, it's just not all this shit's just out of his hands.
And then when James Harden gets there, he's not healthy.
More on what you said, I really believe that Embiid's gonna figure out what it takes to get there.
Yeah. This is all good shit. This is all good shit. Character development.
For sure. Because, like, don't nobody really win. Don't nobody win that earlier in their career anyway. Embiid's starting to get around the time that you should win a championship. So, if his time is coming, it's coming soon.
His body can just keep up with him.
If his time is coming,
one of these next 2 years,
definitely coming soon. So,
I could definitely see it.
So, the Warriors defeat the Grizzlies. Very exciting first 2 games. I thought we were in for a banger of a series. It was still obvious to me that with or without Ja Morant, because as we know, Ja Morant gets injured. I still believe with or without Ja Morant that the Warriors are winning this series. But it was a little easier. 100%. It was a 5-game series now instead of probably the 6 or 7 that it would have been with Ja Morant. Warriors were, again, we just saw them getting stronger as the days went along. They got stronger to the point where Jordan Poole was playing less minutes, which is scary. Because he was a vital part of all that. Ja Morant, he had 2 really good games before getting injured. The Warriors took their foot off the gas and rested for a game, and the Grizzlies blew them out of the water park, and then the Warriors come back and take care of business and win the series the next game. Nothing much. I mean, again, like I said, I believe the Warriors win with or without Ja, but again, another case, Ja Morant goes 100%. Down, Grizzlies go down.
Yeah, I didn't really see coming into the series, especially with how the Warriors are handling fucking the Nuggets the round before. It's just like, all right, yeah, I could see them smoking them within 5 or 6 games, and then Ja goes down, so I'm like, oh yeah, it's clipped for them.
Ja was getting too much in his head, man. His head was definitely getting big during this run.
Yeah. He was, he was feeling himself. He was in his bag, but it wasn't translating as much as you would like it to. But yeah, I mean, I didn't really see much coming from this series outside of the Warriors taking that.
Yeah, I really like.
W.
I thought the Grizzlies lost the minute that they lost Steven Adams. Like, he was the.
He was a dog.
He was the only real reason that they were really keeping up with the Warriors anyway, because everybody knows if you're going to beat the Warriors, you're going to have to beat them on the inside. It's going to have to be a real gritty game inside, pace slowed down so they can't get out and run. Going to have to force them to make mistakes, which ironically they were forcing them to make mistakes. So I don't know if you guys remember, that was around the time where the headlines were, can the Warriors actually figure it out? Like, because they were having like really bad turnover problems at the time.
Yeah.
So they were like, all right, they're winning, but they can't win a championship with this level of turnovers.
It's so funny because the Warriors were piecing themselves together through the entire season and playoffs and just won the championship.
Yeah. They were literally, every game they played, they were just
figuring it out.
And eventually
they're figuring it out enough to where trying to figure it out resulted in them winning. So we move on. Luka Magic, baby! Made me a believer this series right here. Sorry it took so long.
100%.
Luka,
100%.
He comes alive. You know, they tough when they up. They tough when they up. Fuck the Suns. The Suns go down. The Suns absolutely collapse. It was kind of hard to watch a really good basketball team collapse this much. But Luka manhandled them. Spencer Dinwiddie handled them. That light-skinned dude,
Brunson
their
did
center
his
there,
thing.
he was handling them a couple games. Ayton.
Who, Dwight Powell?
Yeah, Dwight Powell, he was manhandling them.
Sounds like that light skin dude.
The Suns, DeAndre Ayton, again, it was just looking like he's done. I mean, he had no inspiration. He was just existing, getting angrier with the refs, angrier with his teammates. Chris Paul, when we get to least valuable player in the first round, he's going to be my least valuable player. Because it's like, at some point, if you're this big leader that you're advertised to be, you should have been able to overcome this collapse. At least pulling your guys together.
All right, so that was
saying,
low-key
like,
mine,
we're still
too.
a number one seed team. Let's fucking play
I think
like
that
it.
might be all of
But no
ours.
one was playing like it. Bridges was getting torn apart defensively. Chris Paul was disappearing. There was even points where they weren't even putting him on the floor. Devin Booker was a ghost. DeAndre Ayton wasn't even motivated to even try to help. Their best player was randomly.
And DeAndre Ayton
not their
should
best
have
player,
ate
but
up,
Jay
bro.
Crowder was doing his thing.
Calling Jay Crowder the best player is wild.
He was keeping them in it. Like that one that I think Game 6, he was the only thing keeping them alive.
But that shit was just bad,
Bro.
bro. It was. I've never seen such a collapse for a team that was supposed to go all the way, quote unquote. Like it's just like, yeah, it was such a failure, low key. Like tough word to say. Such a sad moment because they got manhandled, especially with all the after Game 5. Phoenix blows them out by 30. Devin Booker everyone's seen the video all over social media. Devin Booker hit the ball at the end from Luka
Looked like a
and
bully.
was just talking shit. They just had so much swagger and all this shit talking and this that, and the third, just for
Tough when they up.
them to get blown out. Yeah, just to get blown out the last two
Bro.
games. Blown out both games.
See, this is the thing for me. Like how Matt just said it was.
You didn't even score over 90 in both of those last two games.
How Matt just said it was a failure. To me, it's only a failure if you really expected anything from it. I didn't expect the Phoenix Suns to win anything. I
expected them to go to the
I don't-
conference finals at least.
I firmly believed, like I said, that their best chance at winning anything was last season. They already missed that. Not last season, but the season before that when they lost to the Bucks in the finals. That was their best chance at a chip to me. Literally, it was written for them.
This was their
It
best
was
shot.
written for them.
I thought it was these
'Cause
last
at
two
the end-
years. I thought it was the last two
This
years.
was
If
their
they
best shot.
run into any team that they played in that playoff run, if any team that they played was healthy, they lose. To any of them. If the Lakers are healthy, they lose. If the Nuggets are healthy, they lose. If the Clippers are healthy, they lose.
But Giannis was not getting stopped. That's the only thing. Like Giannis.
But everyone on that team was also healthy, too.
But
though.
Right.
Giannis wasn't going to be denied. My thing, I think it was this year because first off, they lost to the Mavericks, which is it's Luka. At the end of the day, it's fucking Luka.
But you were shaky against the Pelicans already.
My thing is that after losing last year in the finals, I expected them to come back and win this year. Only because you're running this, it's the same system with the same players, just getting to run it back, and it looks phenomenal in the regular
And
season.
how good they were in the regular season. Yeah, I had them going all the way.
Yeah, I thought it was going
At
to
the
be a
beginning of the year,
rematch
yeah.
between the Suns and the Bucks, where the Suns win.
So did I.
And for that to just kind of just fall out the way that it did, because I said that their defense I thought was the only one that could do something against the Warriors. And again, as we said, the Warriors were just figuring it
Never
out
got
the
to
whole
see it.
way through. Now the Warriors, they had an easy run against the Grizzlies, and they had an easy run against the Nuggets. The Suns
They
would have
made it
fought
look
the
easy.
Mavericks. Well, yeah, it made it look easy, but it was still effortless. They would have ran into a wall facing the Suns. No matter who won that series, it would have been a little overwhelming, at least at first, for the Warriors. But at the end of the day, if you make it to the finals, you're facing the Celtics, and again, I don't think the Celtics beat the Suns. Because that would have just been a real gritty series, and whoever's the deepest team wins, and I think the Suns were the deeper team.
I don't think the Suns beat either of those two teams.
I don't know, man. We're just gonna have to agree to
think-
I mean, after watching them play in the
think-
playoffs, yeah, I can agree with you. But if we're taking the regular season team into consideration and seeing a system that it was a system, it wasn't like you weren't getting like a magical run from like Devin Booker. It was systematic basketball that should have worked.
Unbiasedly, I wouldn't have taken them over the Warriors. I wouldn't have taken them over the Celtics. I wouldn't have taken them over the Bucks. I wouldn't have taken them over the Heat. And
before the playoffs,
I wouldn't have taken them over any of those teams.
Oh, no, you're
100%.
The Heat?
Bruh.
Sheesh.
I'm taking them over the Heat.
I probably wouldn't have taken them over the Nets neither.
Butler.
I wouldn't have taken them over the Nets
I'm
neither.
taking them over the Nets. Like I said, I thought they were going to go all the way, so I clearly...
How many cracks did you put in your blunt before you stepped on this show, sir?
Bro, I just, like you said, this is another reason why I didn't think anything of it is because, like you said, they played the same way that they played last year. And yeah, like you said, it could be all right, we're just going to, get better, run it back, but you got to, think of it from the other side. We seen you do this last year. You're not adding anything new. We're just going to take the solution to the problem last year and do it again. And you're not going to have an answer for it because you're not doing anything new. So it's kind of like the thing. It's kind of like the thing with Giannis, how teams were building that wall. They can't build that wall anymore. Why? Giannis is doing something different. If Devin Booker and Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton, if they don't do anything different, it's not going to matter. Because you're going to look at the Suns, what's the problems? All right, Booker, he only scores. Chris Paul, he's only going to pass. DeAndre Ayton, he's going to grab a rebound or two, but that's about it. Until DeAndre Ayton starts demanding attention, he's getting you 25, 30 a night, and Chris Paul's going back to getting double-doubles, and Devin Booker's just going to have to find a way to do something else other than score.
I mean,
I'm just laughing at the fact that you said Aiden's just going to come get you a rebound or two. That's so fucking funny.
Bro, he is, bro. To me, DeAndre Ayton is in the same boat as Bam.
He's a little underrated, though. I mean,
you can be this dominating.
He's a good scorer.
You can be this dominating force. You're just not that. You're just not that every night.
What I think it is for Ayton, the team has him on a back pedal. They have him on a back, taking a back seat. They're not using him in any type of way. And Ayton is just getting demoralized by that. Ayton just needs to go out there one day and just be like, nah, fuck that. Get the ball.
And that's what he did against the Pelicans. I think he's capable against the Pelicans. We saw that against the Pelicans.
Yeah, I think he's capable. Series. Yeah, he was smoking Valanciunas. But I think he's capable as fuck to go out there and just get the ball, demand attention, and go off. But he's just too hesitant.
Like I said last episode,
because the team doesn't have belief.
These players just aren't going to work. But at the same time, I think at the very least this is a better this was a better path than last year. I'm with you, VMan. I don't think they beat the Warriors, but no one was stopping Giannis last year. I don't think anyone was going to stop after he won a couple of Game 7s. Yeah, I did not think he was going to fucking lose. Especially though, 50-point performances, just absolutely being a bully on the defensive end of the ball. Still, I mean,
that's the thing. That's the thing. You know how you can't, you visibly cannot see Giannis losing to anybody? I visibly cannot see the Suns beating those teams that I just named.
That's a lot of teams and a lot of cracks, sir.
I just can't see
I truly think they beat anybody in the East. Because like I said, it's a system at the end of the day that runs deep because the Suns were able... What made them good this year is they were able to take CP off the court and still have a very lethal team on the floor. And that's what they did differently this year. If you're asking for the one thing that the Suns did differently this year was that they got CP involved less, and it kind of helped because CP... Before this series, we saw CP ice games in the fourth quarter left and right. Through the end of the regular season against the Pelicans, he was wilding, scoring too.
He was.
But what the Suns were able to do this year was keep him fresh, keep him out of the lineup, a good amount of nights, or I should say out of the rotation, good amount of nights.
I'll say, what did he average this year? 14 and 10, right? They weren't expecting him to go out there and score or anything like that.
You're dedicating all this shit to Chris Paul. and he's still not giving you what you need him to give you.
But at what point do we look at Devin Booker is my thing.
Damn, he's
It's
already
like
giving you 27 a night.
An effective 27, a game-changing
Like,
27? Or are we just talking about
bro,
27 that fills the stat?
with-
27's where if he wasn't.
Without that
wasn't- if he's
27,
not
you're getting
scoring
blown
those,
out.
You're not in the games.
Without
Yeah,
that,
if he
without
doesn't
him on
score
the
those
court, it's
27,
a
you're not in
completely
the
different
games.
game. But at the same time, Devin Booker's like the king of putting up like ineffective-ass big point nights. That's just it.
I don't think it's ineffective. If he's not going to do it, I don't think there's anyone else on the team who will.
And that's the issue. Devin Booker has to do it more times than not, and that's
He does, though.
not again.
Yeah,
in
like,
the
you don't
playoffs,
know
not
how many
effectively.
times- You don't know how many times I've watched the Suns still lose with him putting up those numbers. Devin is to the point where Devin Booker is going to put up those numbers regardless. Like, he's going to do it regardless. He's a professional scorer. That's what he does.
And the only time at this whole season where everyone shit the bed on every statistical category in every way was Game 7. But, like, that was the only time where, like, no one was doing anything. Devin Booker, every one of those games, except for maybe one, and the games he missed in the Pelican series, he was doing what he had to do.
Yeah,
Doing
but
what he
Kel
had to
Bridges
do
wasn't
until
let
the
down.
fourth. Again, like doing what he had to do until the fourth
What'd you say?
quarter. It was like it was always the same thing. Like Devin Booker, he been like a lot of his points comes from one run in the game. A lot of like he'll score like a good 10 to 15 in one run. Whether a lot of the times in the playoffs, believe it or not, and VMan, I'm sad that you're denying me because we did lose some money on this fucking guy Devin Booker starting off hot.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then dying like several times.
Yeah.
Because he goes on a run, that's the bulk of his points, and then he gets his little, his superstar points to get into the line here and there, maybe getting one to sink, but just nothing that really gets the team going or anything like that. You gotta change. You gotta be able to do it. You gotta be able to put the team on your back, and we can't look at Chris Paul for that because he's got to give it to the
But
guy
that's
that's
the
gonna put
thing.
him on their back.
We're supposed to look at Chris Paul like that. That's what he's here for. Like,
Yeah, but
you're
if you're-
literally the team's leader. You're supposed, when it gets down to that moment, you're the one that's in charge of that moment.
Right, and
Even if he's not
always,
scoring or getting
bro,
the assist,
there's
he's
no
gotta
there's no
energize the
duo
guys.
that's passed the ball to each other other than Chris Paul and Devin Booker, and we know a lot of the times it's not Booker passing it back to Paul. CP gave this guy the ball throughout the season. There's no doubt about that. But my thing is like watching through the playoffs is watching Devin Booker be almost completely open in a corner three and still passing the ball. That's that frustrating shit. And we saw that a lot. He would be in the corner, get the ball, hesitate, or still like sidestep. Like, why are you sidestepping when you're wide open? Sidestep into a horrible shot. It's just Devin Booker, again, like, yeah, we see these games where he can take over, but he's not taking over at the right times, especially not in the playoffs.
He just doesn't have, in my opinion, he just doesn't have the right IQ yet. That's just all it is to me. He doesn't have a high level IQ to be able to know the situational pieces of the game that can energize a team, that can put the team on his back. He just, I feel like, goes out there, does what he has to do scoring wise, and that's it. Like, I don't think he's a superstar. I think he's a star player, but
It's another one of these
I don't think
motherfuckers
he
claiming
has
they're
the
the second
IQ yet.
generation of Kobe and just not living up to it. him,
true.
Kyrie, and Jason Tatum, the clearance rack Kobe brothers.
the fucking Three Musketeers. The Three Musketeers.
So we
All right.
move on. We're gonna go to
The best series.
yeah.
That,
Celtics and Bucks.
in
It
this
was a
round.
war. I mean, it was fantastic
Yeah.
to watch. Sad to see the Bucks lose here, but the Celtics, I just think they played better basketball than the Bucks. A couple of my good
Bucks were
points is
also
that, like
undermanned.
Matt
They
kind of
have
referred to
Middleton.
earlier in the episode, you can't. It was tough watching Drew Holiday be the second option. He was chucking a lot.
Yeah.
There was more pressure on him, which, I mean, if we know Drew Holiday, he doesn't react well to defensive pressure on the offensive end. On the defensive end, he was doing a lot more because Middleton was out. I mean, it sucked to see the Bucks go out, but that was a hell of a 7-game series. Giannis was snapping the whole way through.
And just imagine if Middleton was there.
If Middleton was there, I think the
7-game series without
Bucks win
Middleton.
this. because
Bucks
Giannis is getting
yeah.
easier looks now, and that's just crazy.
Yeah.
Because he was
100%.
already like wiping. He
Giannis
was
was
wiping
going
the
the fuck
Celtics
off.
off the floor in a few of these games.
Yeah, he was going off.
And then some of the games that they
It
lost
was-
that Giannis struggled in, it was literally a situation of that they got real stagnant. That was their issue without Middleton. Is they would get
It
too
was an
stagnant.
entertaining series, without a doubt.
No real movement because it's either Giannis going in the paint, Holiday like dribbling, and then like getting stuck into shooting a really bad shot. That's pretty much what it was.
Mhm.
And then Brook Lopez. I love Brook Lopez.
This series was a lot.
Yeah, Giannis
Honestly,
was
this
going
series
the fuck
was.
off.
This series wasn't really to me about the Bucks. This was to me about if the Celtics were real or not.
There you go.
Because realistically, without Chris Middleton, they shouldn't have won. You feel me? But if the Celtics weren't gonna win, they would have lost to the Bucks. If that makes any sense. Like I couldn't.
Yeah.
If they got past the Bucks, I didn't think they was gonna lose to the Heat anyway.
He
at all.
fucking suck.
I thought that because, like I said in the beginning, I firmly believe that whoever won out of the Celtics and the Nets was going to the finals, especially after we found out that Chris Middleton was hurt and he wasn't going to play. And yeah, boom. But yeah, the Bucks were literally just a test for the Celtics to see if they were real or not. It's unfortunate that that couldn't happen in the Eastern Conference Finals, but you know, easy schedules and shit.
Eastern Conference was fucking dirt,
Easy
man.
schedules and shit, you know. But yeah,
Matt, what you got to add?
Giannis is Yeah,
I feel like I've already pretty much said what I had to. I mean, the Giannis, literally, like we've all alluded to this
That guy's a
whole
dog,
throughout
man.
little bits of this episode. Yeah, he is got the most heart in this whole league. He will never
Super
give
thankful
up on
Giannis
not
is
even
a
just
thing.
play the whole game.
yeah.
Yeah, like Giannis is going to be the guy showcasing this league for the next 10 years, without a doubt. He is an amazing player, but even those guys can't just do it all on their own. They have to have the right pieces around them. Middleton wasn't there. The perfect number two to Giannis more times than not, but Celtics just had their pieces and showcased them. So.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't think there's much left to say. I think you nailed it right on the head there. So who's your guys' MVP? I mean, I think we may just agree.
Luka.
Yeah, I was gonna say Luka's
feel
my
like-
MVP.
Yeah. Luka snapped.
They were
whole
acting tough when they
series
were up,
and-
so he took care of
yeah.
business.
Tough when they're up. I think it's Luka without a
Low-key,
doubt. Luka was bugging the
mine
fuck
dead
out.
ass might be Al
averaged like 32.
Horford.
Al Horford, we did not
Really
touch
might be
on
Al
that.
Horford.
Al
Really might be Al
Horford
Horford.
put his
'Cause he
dick
was
down the
snapping.
throats of Milwaukee, bro.
he was wilding.
Yo, he's
Al
the
Horford was
classic.
snapping.
Like, he's the classic. Like, wakes up, eats a bowl of fucking oatmeal, reads the newspaper, watches the news for 5 minutes, kisses his sons and daughters, have a good day, tells his wife we're gonna have some wine when I get home, baby, and then he goes and he drives his Chevy Impala to the stadium.
I knew it was Dave Paulo.
He goes and he plays, but before he plays, he does a prayer. He's a really nice guy. Slaps some Bengay on his knees, elbows, shoulders, everything. And he gets in there and he destroys Milwaukee. It was so beautiful to see. Old
Bro,
man Horford
what was that
just
soliloquy
snapping.
just now?
I love Al
To be
Horford.
honest, just mad shit, bro. Like
I don't wanna see a little bit, I want the whole
we was
thing.
like, yo, oh yeah,
Hey,
yo.
yo. Hey, yo, that was
Hey,
wild.
We was like, yo, if the Celtics win the chip, we're getting Al Horford jersey.
Al Horford, baby.
We're getting Al Horford
Oh
jersey.
yeah, I would have gotten one. I would have gotten one.
So-
the only Celtics jersey I'll ever own. other than-
My least valuable player of the first round. I said it. It's Chris Paul. I mean, it was just a whole bunch of flat performances. It was like he couldn't even get anything going.
like I almost.
Like VMan said,
I almost had
I
James
know I
Harden.
can't hold him to too much of a standard, but like VMan said, at the end of the day, can you please say the line? because behind the scenes, guys, we tried to record this episode. VMan said a really good line about the Suns and Chris Paul. I need you to repeat that if you remember it.
I really don't.
It's like, where are you leading me to?
Do you remember it?
Oh yeah, where are you leading me to? Like,
yeah.
No, yeah.
You're supposed to be the leader of the team, but where exactly are you leading me to? Obviously, you know all the other. Because this is the part that bothers me. Is because they put him on the same leader tier as guys like Bron. When you got a LeBron James-led team, you know where Bron's going to take that team, barring injury and all that extra stuff. Right? But, like, if you're putting him on that same level, and I don't know where you're leading me to, that's a problem. Like, you've been to the finals 1 year in your career. 1 year.
And it was 2 years ago.
Like, come on. Y'all need
We might have
to
do a
stop
whole
with all that
episode
Chris
on
Paul's.
it.
Yeah. That whole he's on the tier leader with Bron shit. Stop that shit.
Do you
Stop
guys
that
have a
shit
different
now.
answer for the least valuable player?
I have Chris Paul as well. I was maybe like James Harden. He was injured.
Yeah, mine's.
I'm not even gonna hold that against him. It was Chris Paul.
It's definitely a toss-up between Chris Paul and James Harden. I thought about Drew Holiday, but Drew Holiday, it's like...
He was put into a position he wasn't comfortable
like,
with. That's
you didn't
tough.
get Drew Holiday
you're
to be...
a top player
you
in
didn't,
this league.
You didn't get him to be your number two.
Yeah.
James Harden's supposed to be your number two. Chris Paul's supposed to be your number two. Full health, all that. They're supposed to be the number two on your team. So...
Fair enough.
Yeah. To me, it's definitely a toss-up between those two. Like Matt said, James Harden's playing with nagging injury and stuff, so he gets a little bit more of a pass. But
I'm going to set the scene here. I'm going to set the scene for the Celtics and the Heat, right? So,
Yes, sir.
let's say you're bored one night, right?
yo, hold on real quick. I just have to say this. Another player for that candidate is deadass Dylan Brooks. He was a complete no-show.
He was
a
mess.
no-show. He was a
He
no-show
won
in
for
that
17
series, bro.
one night or something like that.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, he was booty
He
cheeks.
was
Yeah,
complete dog water in that series against the Warriors. He did nothing, bro.
water.
He did nothing.
And when Ja went out and he had the
water.
ball in his hands more, he wasn't
Nothing,
even doing
bro.
anything with it. It was weird.
Yeah. He
But all right.
He tried being that guy when he's not that guy.
So I want you guys to imagine this scene, right? So you're bored Friday night, whatever night you want to be bored on, and you go on Tinder,
Okay.
right?
Oh,
So
okay.
you go on Tinder. Your love life's really boring, so you go on Tinder. You're
Right.
swiping a bunch. No one's really matching, and then you match with this real mediocre chick. Like not bad, not good.
Damn. Tough.
Just a mediocre chick. You match with her, and then you guys go on some dates. You don't really like her. You guys smash.
Where the
You
fuck
don't-
is this going? Where is this
you
going?
guys smash and you didn't really like it, but you keep trying because it was the only thing. It was the only thing that was available to you.
Is he talking about the Heat
You're
right
being
now?
Chris-
Chris Paul right now.
No, I'm
Where are
saying
you
the whole
leading me?
series. The whole series, the Heat and the Celtics. It was the
Yeah,
only
yeah.
thing that we could watch on TV, so we watched it, and it was
Oh
horrible.
yeah, for sure. yeah, agreed.
Bro, that was the that.
No, because on Tinder, this one girl that's actually talking to you while no one else is. That's what you got there. So you keep opting
you
into
don't-
it, and you just keep
Yeah.
having a bad time. But you know
Like,
what?
fuck
You
it,
were
I might
horny,
as well.
and it was the only thing available.
Like,
We were horny for basketball
I don't-
because
I don't
basketball
know
was
how I feel
closing,
about
but we
that.
got treated to
were
some horrible
horny
games.
for Basketball.
But anyway, the Celtics beat the Heat in
I
7
don't
of some
like
of the
that
worst
analogy.
games I've ever seen.
Hey yo, bad analogy.
that
You guys
series-
just
that
don't
series was a
understand
mess.
science. Right? And that explanation.
It's just
was a mess.
science.
Yo, let's get Brian Rhodes.
So
Brian Rhodes is our next.
it was
guest.
a grind of a series for the Celtics. They pulled it out. Marcus Smart really shined here for his leadership and his defensive ability in this game. Also, stuff in the stat sheet: 16, 6, and 6. Not the best shooting performance, but everything was pretty solid nonetheless.
You don't expect that from Marcus.
It was an ugly series. I feel like none of these games were close. At the end of some of these games, they were close, but a lot of them were like 30, 40-point swings out of a lot of points of the games. Even like 40-point comebacks we were seeing. Like, it was just horrible basketball. all the way around. I mean, Jimmy Butler again. It was like Jimmy or bust for Miami, really.
100%.
And I don't.
Yeah,
It's not a recipe for success. And I knew it was going to be that way. I knew it was going to be. They were going to try to ride on the back of Jimmy Butler because their other players weren't playing. Like Tyler Hero was. If you thought he was invisible last series, but like
he was hurt, but he wasn't. He also wasn't good the series before.
Like, I don't. Didn't he not play in 4 to 7 games?
Yeah, but the games that he did play, I mean,
fucking.
Just what? I mean, I get being hurt.
Where the fuck is Bam? Where's Bam?
On the court, yeah, and again, Bam, just
Bam can't come to the phone right now.
It was bad.
He had one game throughout that whole 7-game series. That was
dude,
good.
Talking about this series is randomly giving me a cramp in my leg.
Bro, what the fuck?
But it was ugly.
Honestly,
you guys can go. I mean, I didn't like the
Usually
series, but the Celtics go to the finals. It was cool to see a different team like that in the finals.
You know what it is? You know what it is? I feel like this series got appreciated by the real defensive-minded people. Because it was a great defensive series, I'll tell you that much.
This series was appreciated by the people who loved early 2000s.
I appreciate that, but every game was lopsided. That's my only thing.
Yeah.
Every game we had some real horrible basketball being played regardless of the defense.
Yeah.
I'm watching Bam Adebayo miss fucking layups.
Hey, you can't make them all, big dog.
I don't think Duncan Robinson made a 3.
He hardly played. They barely played him.
He made 7 for 24 in the whole series. 29%, and he got paid $60 million for his 3-point shooting.
And meanwhile, I was struggling at work during those days. So, can I get some money? I'll go on and, you know what I mean? I'll get in there and injure another player on the team. I'll go fucking out there and punch Jason Tatum in his face. Give me the money.
That's a fact.
You think your punch to Jason Tatum's face is going to injure him?
Yeah.
It might make him scared.
Okay.
It'll shake him up a bit because he wasn't expecting me to punch him in the face, and now I did.
Right.
Now what?
Now he's just randomly.
If he beats my ass, he's done. He's cooked. I'm the one that's cooked regardless, but if he beats my ass, he's cooked.
You do that shit in the middle of the Eastern Conference Finals, that'll rattle anybody.
If the Heat go on to win because I rattled Jason Tatum's cage and they somehow win the finals, hey, I get a ring. And I'm selling that shit. I made mad money.
Hey, I get a ring. They're not.
And I'm a hero.
Warriors.
And I'm a hero, bro. I punched Jason Tatum in the face. Hero. I brought back basketball, baby.
That's a fact.
Don't ever go to Boston.
So are we good on this series, or man? Do you have?
Yeah, fuck this series. It was bad, bro.
All right.
It was a shit show.
So Warriors and Mavericks. Again, this was we were just trying to get to the end of the season at this point, I think. Because the Warriors defeat the Mavericks, they make it look easy.
We knew what it was at this point.
But this series specifically was the series that Warriors basketball was back and booming. You could see the flow was beautiful.
Full effect.
Luka, his magic ran out. He was trying. He was doing what
he fought back.
He was putting up.
He definitely fought back.
He was putting up 40 points.
He was fighting
left and right.
He was fighting hard. But that was that. The Warriors win, and now they're back in the finals. So
I feel like that series was just a case of the Mavericks not having a roster to keep up with the Warriors. They really didn't do anything wrong, if that makes sense. They didn't lose any games on their own accord. The Warriors were just better than them.
Yeah, and low-key, it's not like they were even playing bad defense here or there. It's just no one on the Warriors averaged more than 23 points. So it wasn't even they were playing bad. It's just the Warriors were just all around.
And on top of that, I think the Mavericks, they gave their best shots to Phoenix, their best game plans, their best strategies. They had to throw at Phoenix to win that series.
And now the Warriors saw them already. Yeah, Warriors saw them, watched the film, and was like, all right.
And it's like I said, the Suns, I think, were more easily exploitable than the Warriors were.
100%.
Take Luka out, boom.
Outside of
Unless you're the Jazz.
No, he said the Suns over the Warriors, not
the Suns. The
Mavericks.
Suns are more exploitable than the Warriors are, because it's like I said, everybody on the Suns has a designated role, but everybody on the Warriors can do more than one thing.
They just do. Like, it's just like go out and play ball. Oh, like only you guys know how.
Steph Curry he's obviously the best shooter of all time, but he can pass with the best of them. Clay is a sharpshooter and a defensive specialist. Andrew Wiggins is a defensive specialist, and he can give you 18 a night. You know what Draymond Green is, triple-double threat almost every time he touches the court. Defensive player of the year.
Floor general.
Like, even Kevon Looney had, what the fuck, he had a 20 and 20 game or some shit like that. Like, he had a 20 rebound game. Like, crazy shit. Like, and it's like
18. He had 18 rebound game. Yeah.
Like, shit like that with the Warriors, like, you just can't game plan for everything that they got.
Yeah, he averaged double-double that series, 10 and 10.
And then
Kevon Looney, bitch.
We get to the finals.
The one where Vegas said the Celtics had a 60% or 80% chance of winning or some shit. I
understand that. I was like, okay, more money for me, I guess.
That shit threw me off. I was like, what the fuck? Like, even if you thought the Celtics had a good chance, an 80% chance of winning is crazy.
Bro, it's just because it's the...
Or whoever Mitch
it was the syndrome of you watching what they did to KD, the containment of... I say the containment of Giannis.
Yeah.
They beat the number one the number one seed in the East. So they checked off every box that you're supposed to have on the way to a championship. They beaten all the other good competition.
Too bad there was another box with the Warriors' name in there.
So, but that's the thing. A lot of people didn't really understand how good the Warriors were because the teams that they played weren't as good as the teams that the Celtics played. But the Warriors still had no difficulty with anybody. They're just... It only looked that way because the Warriors are just head and shoulders above everybody else. Like, it really didn't matter who they played last year.
Nah, didn't they? Yeah, like, didn't they beat every team they played in 5? 6. I think
they never touched the game 7.
I mean, until
they
the
never
Celtics
touched the game 7.
Yeah.
At all, at any point during this playoffs run, they have not touched the game 7.
Yeah. So like, yeah, they were doing what they had to do with ease.
I just think this officially puts the Warriors' whole dynasty, like officially puts them up there with the Bulls dynasty for best dynasties of all time, in my opinion.
Oh, all the Jordan's fans, 6 for 6, 6 for 6.
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, I mean, to be.
Oh no, I agree with you. Fuck them.
This is honestly, I give it the edge over the Bulls because if there was ever one blueprint to building a successful franchise, this would be it. Home. I
don't know if I would give them the
homegrown
edge, but they're
players,
definitely up
training
there.
them the right way, actually investing in them, getting the top free agent, winning the championship before you do that, winning a couple more with that, retooling, coming back and winning another. It's impressive. It's honestly beautiful and impressive.
It is. It 100% is impressive. It's definitely something that a lot of people were writing off. Like, bro, all these big-time sports analysts and people who know the game, this and the third, the Warriors are never going to win another championship in this era. Like
it was easy to see because when you think about it, it's literally it's simplified to this. Draymond and Steph, between Jordan Poole, Steph, and Klay Thompson, and then now Andrew Wiggins, and then Draymond Green, that's just a nasty 5 to have on the floor at the same time. Yeah, but when you have Draymond Green passing to those 3, and then Andrew Wiggins just open and can knock down that shot anytime that you pass it to him, it's freakish. And then you got like straight up athletes off the bench that ate their vegetables growing up, clearly. So
my son Kuminga, my son Moody,
Gary Payton,
my son Iggy.
Payton, that is my guy.
Iggy, Gary Payton, Juan Toscano Anderson, all of them were put in work for the little things
on
that
the
matter.
Celtics side. Kudos to them, a hell of a run that I definitely didn't see, but a hell of a run that made sense. No luck to it. It was a grind. They toughed their way there.
That was a win-win.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him back. Honestly,
I wouldn't have been surprised if they won the finals, to be honest with you. It's just the Warriors were just better. Everything that was going on was just them better. the Celtics maybe a health because everyone was hurt by that point on both teams. Everyone was drained and hurt. But I think like if Marcus Smart was a little bit healthier, maybe that makes a huge difference. But overall, yeah, Warriors, Jordan Poole for a second. What a guy, man. What a shitstorm he was in his rookie year, but what a guy he is now.
That's a fact.
I'm proud of that guy. He's cute too.
Oh my God, yeah, he's wildin'. He's wildin'.
We're gonna disregard everything that man just said. Take it all back. I don't care if it was good or not. Take it all back. Everything he said.
Well, yeah, honestly.
Nah, put the glasses back on, bro. Just stop. You're bugging right now. You're bugging the fuck out. Got me fucked up. What are you doing out here? Nah, what the fuck was that?
This nigga just fucked Matt completely up. He fucked him all the way up.
You better not take that out. I want people to hear how mookie you are.
Man.
Fuck out of here.
Good thing I'm the editor, baby. Let's wrap up the playoffs. Wrapping up this episode. What are some of your guys' final takes? For me, I thought this was just a real season for me. It was just like it was one of those it was just real. It was passionate and real. Warriors come out on top. Great story. You know me, I'm a sucker for great stories. Warriors win. I'm content with it. Steph gets his final MVP. His finals MVP. Klay comes back. It was storybook for him. Draymond proves the haters wrong once again. Jordan Poole makes a name for himself.
Wiggins wrong.
Completely shuts down the world's opinion of him. Besides me, I'll forever brag that I was on this guy's train the entire time. It was logical. I mean, I get why people would kind of roast him because he was a dickhead in Minnesota, but he didn't know better because the system was just stupid.
He was young.
He didn't know what good basketball was for a while. he didn't get to feel what good basketball was. So I always felt a top player in the world going to a top team. Only good things can happen from that.
Yeah.
A top player in the world? Okay.
He's in the NBA. Yeah. He's one of the top 50
players.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would safely say he's a top 50 player, maybe top 75 player.
In my head,
number one overall.
In my head,
pick.
It was top player
you
in the
gotta
league.
have some level of skill to be a number one overall pick.
Right, and that's what I mean. It's going to come out eventually. So I thought the Warriors, it was the perfect storm.
Damn, I'm just looking at numbers. My son Klay in the finals shot 35% from the field. I didn't know that. I was just looking. I was like,
we just don't talk about that.
Yeah,
we just don't talk about that. We're just happy that Klay won a ring.
Like this is
another.
We're just happy for Klay. We don't need to talk about that.
Fuck yeah,
I'm one of those people
back.
that I don't really care how efficiently you shoot. Just hit the shots that matter.
Do the things that are going to win us the game.
The shots that count.
As long
Marcus
as we win
Smart,
the game,
like I said,
that's all that matters to me.
Marcus Smart in that Heat series, he hit the shots he needed to. He played the defense he needed to. He averaged 16, 6, and 6, shot like 36%. But you did what you needed to do for the team to win. And we don't depend on you to shoot 50% anyway.
And low-key, that's why I'm a huge Kobe guy, man. It's just like
like Kobe's missed the most shots in NBA history, but the shots that he made,
he's also made some of the most important ones. Yeah,
right. Like I deadass hate stat.
Made him the third best player of all time.
Fuck Max Kellerman.
Like stat horse is mad annoying. Like
stat horse.
All right.
Hashtag. I'm putting that right down there right now. Stat
literally,
horse.
Bro.
Hashtag stat horse.
Literally, bro, because it's like, all right, yeah, you did that efficiently, but
it's the eye test too, man. You got to put that into.
You didn't win anything. You lost. You lost to the inefficient guy. Why? Because he does the things that matter when they matter.
Facts.
So speaking of the day, it's time. It's time for the irrelevant draft fact of the day.
I knew it.
We're gonna take you back to 1987 for some reason.
God damn, bro! How the fuck are we gonna take him back? We weren't even alive.
We were all born 10 years later.
There was a player.
Give or take.
Holy shit! Why were so many players drafted? They had an 160. Okay, yeah, that's the draft fact of the day.
He's just looking at the Army draft.
160. There was 161 players drafted, but the one player I wanted to talk about.
How many rounds did they
That's a
have back
fact.
then? Holy fuck!
7. And it's crazy because no one in the
'cause they
seventh
probably couldn't
round,
keep as
no one in
many
the
good
seventh
talent in the
round
league.
even played a game of basketball.
Yo, what?
Some guy
Nah,
named
that's the draft fact of the day.
Marciu Leonis was he played for 7 years and averaged, I don't know, he sucked. Oh, 12.8 points per game? Whoa. Okay, you know what? That is
he
the
was
irrelevant
good and you're
draft
just
fact
shitting
of the
on him?
day. Someone that was drafted 127th. His name was Sarunas Marciulionis on the Golden State Warriors. Played for
I'm
7 years
100%.
and averaged 12.8 points per game his whole career.
Yo, what's crazy is this guy probably isn't an unknown, but he's just fucking his name
I say
up
I'm
so
100%
bad
sure that is not his name.
1 sec, let me look.
I promise you he's not. Because he just randomly bursted on the scene. He averaged 18.9 points in the 91-92 season. An injury took him out because he wasn't the same after a knee injury. I remember like it was yesterday. No, this actually happened. There was a game where he scored 35.
Bro, what do you want?
You know his comparisons of all time. His best comparisons are Zach LaVine, OJ Mayo, Jeremy Lin,
Bro,
Maurice
these
Evans,
are all players after him. How the fuck is he being
Anthony
compared to
Morrow.
them?
No, I'm saying
No,
like,
these guys are being compared to
like
him.
similarity, like similar.
Yo, what
You said,
team was he
hold on.
Because he
You
got
said
drafted to the
Anthony
Warriors,
Morrow?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it, bro. That's
He
it.
was a
That's
shooter.
it. That's it. That's it. It's
Yo,
over.
what team was he? What team was he on?
Anthony
What team was
Morrow
he on?
played
'Cause I
for a
don't see
bunch
this
of
dude.
teams.
No. This draft guy in the '87.
He was drafted. This is a lot to go through.
Not to who he was drafted to. He wasn't on that team. I'm looking.
Sarunas Marciulionis did not play his first 2 years. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wow, he was on this. Okay, that's dark.
Not his
All
first
right,
2
boys.
years.
So with that being said, with that being said, that
I
was
still don't see him
another
on the
edition.
fucking '89 team.
What the fuck?
Bro, they had 7 rounds. Bro,
Thomas
That's
is getting
wild.
attacked, and you dead ass sitting here worried about this bullshit.
Oh, nah, VMan. This man's name is crazy.
With that being said,
This man's
we're cutting
crazy
it there.
as fuck. He was from the Soviet Union. The pro league in the Soviet Union.
All right, so we're gonna end it there. Thank you for watching another episode of the Built Different podcast. This was a long episode. We love you guys.
He averaged
Shout out
19
to
one
Belgium.
Shut the fuck up, Matt.
Let's get it.